Hi Deepak ji.
Hi, hello everyone. Am I audible?
I think you are.
Yes, you are audible.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
So, Neeraj, can you start the video of the participants? Shyam bhai, Sunil bhai. Hi, Binod ji and Rahul ji. Good to see you.
Good afternoon. दीपक भाई गुड आफ्टरनून.
Good afternoon, Rahul bhai.
रंग काला पड़ गया तंजानिया में रह के आपका.
Part of life, sir. थोड़ा अफ्रीका थोड़ा सा चैलेंजिंग तो रहता ही है.
हाँ सही है.
आप बड़े गोरे हो रहे हो. किसी भवन ज्यादा जा रहे लगते हो.
धूप नहीं आ रही, बारिश हो रही है लगातार 5 दिनों से.
नहीं, मैंने कहा कि किसी भवन ज्यादा चक्कर लगने लगता है आजकल. विनोद भाई नमस्कार.
सरकारी चाय ज्यादा अच्छी नहीं होती.
नमस्कार भाई, कैसे हो?
ऑल गुड. सुनील भाई नमस्कार, कैसे हैं सर?
Yes. Good evening. All good. Absolutely fine.
Awesome. So we'll just take another minute and then we start.
Hi
Okay.
Deepak bhai, how are you?
अरे श्याम भाई, गुड टू सी यू सर. सलाम वालेकुम.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम भाई, पहुंचा हूँ मैं, बस एयरपोर्ट से
अरे
डायरेक्ट
सर.
पहुंचा हूँ.
बांग्लादेश से आ रहे हो क्या श्याम भाई?
वहीं जाना होगा भाई.
चलो मेरे को ले चलो.
आप ही जाओ, आपके पास में है. हाय एवरीवन, हेलो सुनील भैया, हाउ आर यू?
Hi Shyam.
हाय राहुल जी.
सर कैसे हैं? विनोद भाई बढ़िया सर.
क्या बोला?
सब बढ़िया.
मौज है भाई, आपके शहर से वापस आए ना.
तभी पूछ रहा हूँ सर, सब बढ़िया.
ओ,
So now we are having decent number of participants. So can we start? And Neeraj, I can see some echo. So can you mute everyone's mic? Like, only start who speaks. Okay, cool. So thanks everyone for being here and for this very important webinar, because I believe this is very important for all of us. I think Binod bhai there is a little bit of echo. गूंजते गरजते हुए आते हैं विनोद भाई हमारे हरदम. So again, this is one of the curtain raiser event. I would say that for one of the events which you are doing in Dubai, GrainsWorld. The idea of putting this webinar was that actually we have seen that a lot of events are happening of late, and that's a great for the industry because we keep on getting new information, updates about what's happening. And today, if you see in past 2 years, the information dissemination has become far better than it was in past in the grains and pulses sector. More so in pulses sector because grain we know that actually the policy changes, the environment changes are not that drastic, right? But in pulses we have seen 12 to 13 more notification coming within span of a short time. And then we also see there are quite a few origins, destination, trade has been increasing. We have been as in India, double the nearly the imports of pulses. So we see that need for more information when it comes to pulses sector. And that's why one of the reasons we have started this 3-session series today with pulses. Tomorrow we'll be having on grains, and then we'll be also having on oil seeds. Without much of ado, what I'll do is that actually I'll share my screen and just run through a very brief presentation on what is the grain world is all about. And then actually, we get into our panel discussions. We are having some of the very eminent people joining us, some of the market leaders. If you can see, they have been from the industry veterans. We are having those who can cover Myanmar. Shyam bhai is there, Sunil ji is there, who understand Myanmar and Southeast Asia better than anyone else. We have got Jayjeev and Mostyn, who actually understand Australia very well. Then we are having Guru, Hari, Samir, They are all excellent when it comes to Africa. Then Rahul Bhai is definitely Indian veteran, and Harsha, who understands the lentils like back of her hand, and Navneet is excellent when it comes to, I call him Kabuli King, because across the world his information insight is beautiful. And I would be your moderator and try to pitch in wherever I believe I can add value. Now coming to GrainsWorld, we are doing this conference and expo as a flagship event for Global Grains and Pulses Council. The event officially is being organized by Indian Chambers of Food and Agriculture, which is the only Government of India recognized chamber specifically active in the food and agriculture domain. The event is supported by Ministry of Commerce and Industry, who are taking very so that proactive approach in taking Indian agriculture forward when it comes to both outbound or inbound. And they are the partners of the event, and their partnership is just not like giving a logo, but going very deep and extensive partnership. And you'll also find some of the government officials, ministers from India visiting this conference there. We have already approached some very senior ministers, and they've shown very keen interest. In fact, GrainsWorld Conference and Expo, the event was launched in Delhi by none other than the Agriculture Minister of India, Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, in presence of the Road Transport Minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, and the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, one of the key states in India, and also where a lot of activity happens in pulses. I would say that it's a tour bowl of India along with Karnataka. So we had some very eminent people launching this event, and this event is also a partner event of International Grain Council. And other than that, Honeybee, the company actually I am founder of, we are the marketing and knowledge partners in International Agriculture Consulting Group. So this is all about this event and who are the people behind it. Now, actually, why did go all the way to Dubai to do such an event? Because we wanted to have a better information exchange where it is the central piece is just not India, but also the relationship of India with other origins, as well as some of the destination where India export. And this is where this information exchange become very important. And what better place to start with? Dubai, this event definitely will go across the world, going to idea is that in next 6 years to touch each and every continent, so that we can also become a brand ambassador of Indian agriculture globally. Food security is another challenge which we should be addressing today. And this event will give a global outlook of how we can ensure the food security of the world can be taken care of. Policy discourse engagement, then seamless trade, enhancing capacity building, market assessment. And again, this is where we want, when we predominantly share information with each other, it has to come from very, I'll say that solid, robust sources. And it should not be just coming from hearsay. That's why we are having International Grain Council also part of it, which is having extensive information. We would be having participation from Food and Agriculture Organization, World Bank. So all the key players who are which are having substantial role in dissemination of information, collection of information on agriculture and food sector would be part of it. And definitely, we also talk about technology, we'll talk about sustainability and innovation as well. So this event is just not very specifically restricted to only market trends and bhav kya hai, what's the price, whether the market is going to go up or down, but also how do we increase our efficiency, how do we become more productive, how do we ensure that the technology innovations are part of going forward the food system, food and agriculture system. So that's the whole objective. And as you can see that we are some of the sessions a little bit changes might happen, but broadly these are the sessions. We'll be having a CEO's roundtable which will actually talk about policy and the trade engagement from CEOs from companies all across the world, from Canada, from Africa, from Middle East, from India, Southeast Asia. So we are already having a very strong market list of some of the CEOs, which would be, I'll say that among the top 20, 25 companies active in agriculture trade. Then we'll be having definitely panel discussion on pulses, on policy and regulation, trade and market development, cereals. So cereals here, we're talking about wheat, rice, and maize. We'll also be talking about millet because India has been talking about millet extensively, and that would also be part of it. Though while we call millet as a pseudo cereals, but they would play a very vital role going forward in food security, being one of the commodity which is very resilient to climate change. Then we'll talk about digital and biotechnology, discussion on oilseed and veg oils, logistic and storage. And again, we know that Middle East or the UAE is becoming a epicenter of the food and agriculture commodity trade as a logistic center. So you'll find that pulses coming all the way from Canada. Actually, they find Jebel Ali as a port of call where the storage happens, and then from there it is moved to Africa and Asia. And similarly, other way around, when from Asia, rice moved towards Africa as well as towards North and South America. and Europe. It moves to UAE or Dubai or Jebel Ali. So logistic and storage is a very critical part of it, and sustainability and innovations, because we all know that agriculture is not one of the very highly sustainable activity. It is both victim as well as culprit of climate change. We see that substantial amount of greenhouse gases is created by agriculture. Same way the freshwater withdrawal is being extensive in agriculture, and we'll have to change the way we do farming so that we are not impacting our environment, our globe negatively. And then finally, definitely, as I said, oilseeds and veg oil are very critical part. These are some of the target audience. So we'll have policymakers, industry leaders, farmers cooperative in agriculture products, producers, typically farmers, market analysts, economists, researchers, top international organizations, financial institution investors, infrastructure, quality assurance, and service industry. So you'll find that all the key stakeholders of this sector would be part of it. These are some of the benefits. I would like to add one more thing here, as GGPC is seeing GrainsWorld as its flagship event, we are having a lot of opportunities for those who are participating in the event to club the offering of GGPC. So we are giving free membership of GGPC, whether it's a corporate membership or a pattern membership, along with those who are becoming partner in GrainsWorld. So overall, the idea is that we want to take Indian agriculture and food sector to the world, and what best way to do it than with GrainsWorld happening in Dubai. So the event is going to happen on 27th and 29th of November 2024. I've shared the URL. Please look at it, and I would request all of you to participate to take Indian agriculture and food sector globally. So with that, we'll now get into our first discussion. So Neeraj, can we have all our panelists who are the part of the tour, and that is Pigeon P, and Ura, that is Black Mape panel. So great. So Shyam, I'll just run through, the basic sundry list, right? Which we call that in case we have to understand the elephant in the room, which is India, right? India is one of the biggest producer and consumer of tuar. So we start with tuar and then move to urad. So sharing some of the number, and please counter those number if you find them to be a little bit off, because that there is no very structural way of getting all these numbers. While on our side, we try to use all sort of mechanism from field surveys to remote sensing to come with this number, correlate with the government numbers as well. But we all know that actually there is a little bit handicap when it comes to government number. Trade numbers are definitely most of the time, right, very different than the government. So I believe the methodologies are different, and that could be the reason of these different numbers. So if I see 23, 24, or outside that, sorry, 24, 25, this is the current season which we are talking about. The carry was roughly not much in tuar. We are looking at from 75,000 to 50,000 metric ton was carry in tuar. Production, again, India had a very difficult past 2 years, right? Previous year, it was 3 million metric ton. This year, it was 2.7 million metric ton. Imports, we are looking at typically 3 lakh ton or 0.3 million metric ton coming from Myanmar. Could be 25,000 up and down, because Myanmar is a little bit secretive, right? So we only guesstimate based on what has come so far and what could be available with Myanmar. Mozambique is another. We are looking at the crop is a little bit short. In fact, I was in Africa and recently, had a lot of discussion in Africa. And their crop we are looking at is something around, again, 0.3 million metric ton. Mozambique old crop, because we had some disputes last year. So still they are having a carry of close to 0.1 million metric ton there. So if we add old and new, we are talking about roughly 0.4 million metric ton possibly coming from Mozambique. Mozambique dispute, I again take opportunity to thank the government of India. I've written a letter to the Prime Minister on resolving that issue, and within the span of 7 days, Department of Consumer Affairs got into act. They reached out to all the ministry, and to certain extent, we have found that 90 to 95% problem has been resolved, and the containers are getting loaded as we talk. And I think 16 to 17th August we'll be having the first consignment, hitting our shores from Mozambique, and the whole of August, we see that more consignment would be coming. So I believe this year it would be smoother than what happened last year. Coming to Tanzania, the number is 0.19 million metric ton. Other, including Malawi and Sudan and all that, another 0.1 million metric ton. So if we are looking at in total import, we are looking in range of 0.9 to 0.99 million metric ton. I'm saying max, there might also be possibility some of this import might not hit at the right time, right? Because we are seeing in Tanzania, there is a little bit of a challenge because they have moved to a new method of procurement. And still, generally in August first week, you see a lot of Tanzanian product coming to India. But as we speak today, right, Tanzanian material only the initial Bariali one. Other than that, not much has come. So they're only challenge that if they pass October onwards, the price would be the level. Maybe they believe they would like to keep it for next year rather than send it across to India this year. So again, I'm saying based on optimal figure, we are looking at supply of close to 3.74 million metric ton in India. And if I see the consumption, last year it was close to 4.2 million metric ton. And I am adding couple of lakh ton or 0.2 million metric ton substitution by yellow peas, because this year the yellow peas we have too much of it, right? And so I would say that the pulses has been painted yellow this year by yellow peas, and a little bit of crimson by masoor. We had a huge import of both of these commodities. So even if I look at substitution by masoor or yellow peas, this year we are looking at close to 3.9 million metric ton as consumption. So that is a shortfall of roughly 0.16 million metric ton. Next year, things look a little bit better. So 23% more sowing has been reported so far in Tuar, and 10% yield increase. If I go by that, I'm looking at close to 3.65 to 3.7 million metric ton coming next year. Right. So typically it would start roughly in December, and January, February is where you see a lot of import coming in. Samir, welcome on board. Pleasure to see you. Thanks a lot for joining, sir. And so Shyam bhai, going to you, Myanmar or kitna dega, and your views on the initial number I've shared.
Thank you, Deepak bhai. First of all, the numbers which you have shared is almost what I have in my mind. It's, as per my research and finding in the market. Initially also I shared Myanmar is close to 3 lakh tons, 300,000 tons. But the market, everybody says Myanmar is not more than 200,000. So by end of July, we have already exported over 200,000 tons. And I believe still 80 to 90,000 tons, close to 3 lakh tons is the production. So seeing the current market scenario, we can expect the market has come down drastically. So all the farmers, traders would like to book profit or loss, whatever. We have only 5 months left, and the coming forward next 1 month, big crop from Africa, and then further going in December, January, big crop of India, as we have predicted, taking 10% extra yield and 23% more sowing. So if India crop comes 3.6 million tons, I think no place for keeping the stock and no scope. Means I don't think the market will go up. Assuming that, I feel next 3 to 4 months, Myanmar will cut down the price and will supply whatever its balance 80, 90,000 tons to India. And in fact, I feel there will be a bit panic selling also from Myanmar, whatever cargo they hold last 3 to 6 months. Going forward for your consumption in India, which you mentioned around 4.5 million tons, I personally feel this year the consumption has come down because of the high prices, and also the substitute like masoor and yellow peas. My data shows, I cannot counter you much because you are expert, but I feel the Indian consumption is below 4 million tons because the price of the ready tur dal. Yes,
Shyam bhai, I said 3.9 million metric ton consumption.
Okay, then it's fine. Then we are matching exactly because
sir, आप और मैं लोग होते ही नहीं है. I've seen that. आपका मेरा data हरदम it is a mirror, right?
Right. I'm also a little bit near to that 3.8 million tons because of the high price and so many substitutes we have. So going forward, if suppose the Indian production is 3.6 million tons and Myanmar also have a good sowing numbers so far, and last year, like we were having 3 lakh tons of crude oil. This year, we are expecting over 3.5 and close to 4. This is my personal prediction. And seeing the current price scenario now in Africa and all, but Africa is too far to comment, but for the new crop, I mean. So we have enough supplies from the world. So seeing that, I can say in 2025, crude oil price will definitely come down and the consumption will go up. That's for sure. So I don't think any shortage of crude oil in 25, but for the time being, yes, if the Africa, as soon as the African crop comes, will be better to meet the high price and demand is anyway, because of yellow peas, the demand is very low nowadays in all the commodities, not only in crude oil, but in all the commodities.
So Shyam, just like, little bit of devil's advocate, right? I'm playing on the other side of it. Like, if we see the numbers of lemon, which is one of like, the variety which is being exported from Myanmar, right? We have seen that for nearly 25 days, it has got a very serious beating, right? While at the same time, the desi prices had not fallen. And very rarely, like, till like last 4 or 5 years, I'm tracking pulses. I've never seen that old Mozambique, prices landed in India are just 8 rupees less than lemon, right? That is very rare. Don't you see that there is a little bit of, I'll say that some numbers which are very difficult to digest and understand. Your views on
Actually, I
that?
just mentioned, Deepak bhai, that there is some sort of panic in Myanmar because they also understand that just 15 days ahead is African crop, and then Indian sowing is very, very good. So seeing that Myanmar traders and farmers are in big panic mode, I feel that is why the price has come down so fast. Means I just explain you FOB levels. Like 1 month back, the price FOB price of lemon was around 1350 level. Now the price is around 1150 level. So $200 in 30 days. You can understand the level of panic which traders and farmers are doing. So still there is a hope of further correction. I think 1100 level or 1050 level lemon will stabilize because the quality is too good. The compare it not exactly with desi, but close to 2-3 rupees plus desi and close to Sudan, maybe 20 rupees, $20 less than Sudan. So I think 1050 level it will stabilize. Further scope of $50 to $100.
Excellent, Shyam, like very, very great insight. Before I go to Sunil bhai, I would like to add just a couple of more data points which I'm having. So typically, if you see that India generally in April, May, and June, right, we don't have too much demand of dals, right? So you'll find that historically these are the 3 months where you'll find the dal prices to be very, very low. In fact, generally even sometimes they are lower than at the harvest time. So that has also happened in the past. July generally demand peaks because that is a time when the rain is in start across the India, and from vegetable people shift to dal because the temperature cools down. This year the monsoon started at the right time, but it got stuck. It got stuck for more than 15 to 20 days. And July we had a deficit, and that's why the heat waves continued, and hence the demand started only appearing towards the last week of July. So if we see that demand from last week of July onward, it is rising continuously, whether it is tuar, whether it is moong or chana. So you see that the demand is slowly picking up. Uh, August, September, and October, depending on Diwali. So if Diwali is early October, then towards the end of September, and if Diwali is a little bit later, right, towards November, then August, September, and October is where maximum demand happens. And August and September, mid of September, are the totally extremely high demand times for tuar, because there is a Ganesh Chaturthi, so it's like a long event. Then you are having Navratri, and then you are having Dashera. So all of these have huge consumption of sweets and savories made up of tur dal and besan, that is chana dal. With that in mind, we see that overall average demand on a month-to-month basis is between 2.5 lakh tons or 0.25 million metric tons, and going up to 0.48 million metric tons. So monthly average I'm talking about. Seeing that we are looking at for August, September, and October, demand of roughly 1.25 million metric ton. And I don't see that amount available with Myanmar, with whatever is coming from Africa, and whatever is available in India as of now. Because Indians definitely they're not going to liquidating everything, because the farmers always keep something in hand, right? And that's why you find that on the portal of the government, these numbers are roughly. When last time I checked it a few days back, I think a couple of weeks back, it was roughly 0.8 million metric ton. That was not a big number. Now, going with that, we are looking at just for these 3 months shortfall of roughly 0.3 million metric ton. With that in mind, how do you see going forward overall, the scenario of tuar in India, and definitely other origins from it is created?
See, just now I explained about Myanmar. Myanmar is stage of panic for two-hole pigeon case because they have seen the price 1350, 1400 FOB levels. Now, as we know, the numbers are coming from Africa. That Africa, you only mentioned last year. I saw a very good video of you sitting, standing in the fields of Africa and sharing. Actually, all this information the industry needs. They want to know the correct information rather than just speculative that this year the crop is double or half. We need to know the ground reality. But the point which you mentioned that next 3 months, seeing the consumption, like festival season, in fact, starts next week from the Raksha Bandhan, and from there to all the functions like Ganesh Chaturthi, then Dashera, Navratri, Diwali, and even after that is a marriage season. So the demand of all the pulses will be very good. But I feel the numbers which you mentioned available in India in stock. Yes, that's the only number we have. Plus, I think people are more hopeful for African crops that this year, like unlike last year, this year the crop will come. They have good numbers. I think close to 5 or 6 lakh metric tons, but that too will not come in next 2 months, 3 months. It will take 6 months to 7 months time. I do feel there will be shortage. What's going on in your mind is same. I also feel there will be a shortage, not in September, but by September end, people will feel the shortage of ready cargo. And the demand, actually, it all starts from the consumer level. Once consumer buy for festive season, there the demand comes. And I think September, October, even up to November first half, there will be good demand for all the pulses. And after that, when in the December, January, when the fresh vegetables and fruit come, there the demand stops. And then again, the market start coming down. And then, but your point is correct. Next 3 months, there will be shortage of ready cargo, not only in two hole, but even black market, moong bean is even higher demand, chana, besan. All this demand will increase. And I think government to need to check how to control. So far, they have controlled the price very well with the like opening yellow peas. So that strategy has really worked. And I was in the webinar. I was in the New Delhi in the Vijan Bhavan. Government was very clear that until unless the price come down, they will continue with yellow peas. So I think it's a smart move. So by that, they are trying to tackle the chana demand. For two whole, yes, there is a problem. The ready cargo will be short and can be fulfilled maximum by the African crop. Lima do not have much cargo, 80,000-90,000 tons talent. So that's the only way out.
Perfect. Patwari ji, on to you, sir. With the same, you have been a globe totaler. Actually, you see Africa, you see Myanmar, you see India very regularly. Your perspective, and said one more point I would like, just based on the data we have collected, right? The substitution of yellow peas in chana has been between 8 to 10%, right? And in some part of India, it has reached up to 13%, but nowhere it has been more than 13%. Tuar, right, the replacement has been seen more with masoor rather than yellow peas, right? That number also we have, and that is also happening not at the, the household level. It is happening more on the horeca sector. And with that perspective, your views on, sir, outlook, and how do you see the numbers panning forward, sir?
Hi, good evening to everybody. So for tuar, I'll just start with the replacement thing first. Replacement for tuar, the straight replacement is green lentils. And if we talk about the market, tuar is mainly consumption for the sambar. And sambar is mainly consumed in South India. And a lot of South Indian community has shifted to green lentils because the taste is quite similar as the tuar dal. As far as yellow peas is concerned, there will be certain very, very small sector which will be substituting for tuar dal. It will be more for desi chickpeas, maybe 10-15%. Maybe on the dhaba side, on the highways, on the lower income group. So those side, there will be substitute for mutter. But for tuar, it will be mainly a bit for lentils, which is in the South India. And government tenders in Tamil Nadu civil supply, it has been continuously there. There have been a lot of efforts by Indian government to convince them to buy red lentils or shift to other commodities, but they have been very, very firm. So average, they have been buying like close to, say if you talk about average one tender in 2 months and average like 30-40,000 tons dal in every tender. So we are looking at like 200-300,000 tons of tuar they are buying annually, which is almost like 400,000 tons of whole, which itself is a good demand. So as far as other demand is concerned, the community in North India who is consuming for yellow dal, they continue to use tuar as a tuar dal. They are not substituting. And in South India, yes, there have been a substitute there, but not very, very largely. So what I feel is it has substituted, but it's not giving a major impact in the Indian market. That is my opinion on tuar. So that impact is there, but not like 20, 30, 40%, maybe 10%. So if we talk about our consumption of close to 4 million, then we are looking at maybe 400,000 tons, 300,000 tons. So that would be a realistic number to substitute, but not on the larger numbers. Yeah.
Right.
So,
and again, like, this whole idea of panic, right? Do you see that, like, this panic creeping in? Because I'm also seeing, like, that there is little bit of edginess in the trading community, irrespective of whether price goes up or down, right? I see, like, that impact, unlike in past, like, people used to understand the positions and they used to be firm around it. This year, I've seen that things have been very choppy and very volatile. Definitely, one thing is government, like, coming out with new policy measures, so people would be scared about it. But do you think that actually there is something more than that also could be responsible for this choppiness or, like,
to
the
me,
panic?
there is only more than that. So if you talk about a genuine trade in any commodity, if I buy from Myanmar, suppose I make $5-10. If I sell to a buyer in India, and if you buy sell on spot trade, he should be able to make $5-10. That was like a Myanmar trade. You buy today, you sell today. There is a spot market, but toward this year started as a forward market. That means from day one it was a speculative trade. At a given day, I have seen like last 6 months, 9 months this year, nobody wants spot cargo. There have been demand only, say in the month of May, people want to buy July, August, September. And there have been a forward price in the market, which has been a very, very good premium. So people have been playing with this commodity. It's not at all a genuine trade which was happening, and that was the main reason for price to go up. Very, very bluntly, that was the main reason. And now that speculative trade is coming down because the crop is there, African crop is there, and the forward people who have sold, they have to handle those buyers. If you have sold equivalent to $1,450, $1,500, like what Shyam rightly said, about a month back, it was like 1350 FOB. We are talking about 1450 CFR trades happened. And who is going to honor that? And people will come with all sort of quality issues. Lemon is never known to be any quality issues, but I've been hearing in the market people are complaining for lemon quality issues. I've been talking to big traders. They're saying, the buyers are saying, oh, lemon mein donkey hai, ye hai. There have been people making stories. So for the tuar, yes, it's very important for the correction to come, which have started coming. And the realistic price for Myanmar tuar, it should not be more than $1,000. And it's a reasonable price, even if there is a shortage in India. And for African tuar, it should start at 700. This year, African tuar started. African expert will say more, but what I heard in the market, even 1250, 1300, it was trading. I don't know how those contracts are going to get honored. So this time, all the brokers who have done forward trade, they have also become very particular, and they are like not there in the market. They're saying that, okay, let's try to manage what we have done and let's try to handle those parts. So overall, things have become slow that way.
No, I totally agree with you, Sunilji. Like, this time it is 80% of trade has been very speculative, right? And people opening forward numbers right, left, and center. It happened with Myanmar. It happened with Africa also. Like, I've seen $1,300 for African crop when actually people are not even aware what is the crop size, right? And that I believe, like, as a trading community, like, all we have to be careful about it. That actually, like, see, end of the day, government is there to regulate price, right? So they are not going to take this nonsense upfront, where actually without arrival, without S&D numbers, right? People are quoting whatever price just based to on sentiments. And then other way around also, when you start hammering it, as I said, it becomes illogical to have old Mozambique crop just 6 or 7 rupees or 8 rupees cheaper than actually crop with that is lemon, right? Sudan I can understand, but there is Sudan and now everything is exhausted. Shamba, you wanted to add something on Myanmar part, so please over to you, sir.
The main problem of the market is people don't work on fundamentals. They more work on sentiment. Like what should be, as per me, the people 80% or 90% they should rely on fundamentals, 10% on sentiment. But it's just opposite. 90% people are working on sentiment. Only 10% people they are aware of the fundamentals. What is the real S&D? They hardly see which country, what is the production, what is the supply. Even in India, what is the production, what is the availability. They hardly care for it because lemon was traded as high as 125. I mean the raw cargo, which is very, very high. The correct price should be somewhere between 90 to 100. That is the correct price. But you can see almost 25 to 30% highly priced just because of the sentiment. Even in other commodities also, you see, even like Myanmar crude also, it is the same. Sentiments are overruling the fundamentals. That should not be like the modus operandi.
Right. So now I go next to someone who has been pretty strong on sentiment part of it. In fact, Samir bhai and we had a very excellent discussion in Tanzania, and I totally buy his concept, and which we are already has been confirmed by two of the previous speakers, that it is all about sentiments. So over to you, Samir bhai, your views on the numbers I shared about Tanzania and Africa, and your views, sir.
Well, your numbers are as accurate as they can be at the moment. But because the thing is that in our part of the world, we will only know the actual numbers sometime next year, because nobody knows what's really happening, Look at it this way. Some of the Mozambique cargo, which should have been shipped last year, only got shipped this year. So, is it going to appear in this year's balance sheet or last year's balance sheet? Nobody knows. So numbers are always going to be fudgy. Maybe let me try and focus on the facts that are known, okay? We definitely have, I think we can all kind of agree that India doesn't have a lot of stocks at the moment, okay? There has been a lot of selling in Africa. A lot of sales have happened in Africa. We can agree on that. However, what I see as a challenge is to get that cargo out of Africa into India. That cargo is no good in Africa. It needs to be consumed in India. It needs to go there. Okay. So if you look at all the forward selling, it had primarily been for August September shipment. Okay, and I think the shipments have been very, very slow out of Malawi, out of Mozambique, out of Tanzania as well, because of procedural issues, shipment, container availability. There are so many challenges. However, I'd also like to add, this is not the first time these challenges have been around. They've been around since COVID, last 2-3 years. Shipments have just not been normal. So there's definitely a lot of disparity between, let's say, what we would be willing to sell at today and the prices that you can get in India locally in rupees. But it's just no way to get this product from East Africa to the Indian market fast enough. So you could actually have two different kinds of markets where you have the Indian balance sheet being very tight in India and prices being very firm in India, while we have very weak prices and very weak buying on our side. That looks like the case, okay? So the real trick is that when does it normalize? Historically speaking, and I've been doing pulses, pigeon peas trade for more than a decade and a half. Historically speaking, our shipments only peak in October, not even in September. So end of September, October, November is usually the peak shipment periods for us, all in Mozambique, Malawi, and in Tanzania. And this year, people have been very hopeful for earlier shipments, but it does not look like they are going to happen. They're just going to be, at best, we can hope for is a normal shipping window, which means in September they pick up, peak shipments in October, and they kind of taper down by end of November and December, okay? And that, I think, will create a challenge in terms of availability of cargo and when the demand will pick up and kick in India. Now, what happens with this is where sentiments coming or psychology comes in. I really have no idea. It means we need to watch, you know. The prices have definitely come down by more than $400 in terms of, let's look at red pigeon peas. It was offered, August, September shipments were offered at $11.15 the peak, up to $1,200 CFR about a month and a half ago. And today, trade would happily happen at $800 on September, October shipments, okay? So, you know, a $400 reduction in prices, you know, 30% reduction in prices. What does it mean? It just, I mean, sentiments, as I said, sentiments is, I don't know what it means. It just means that when prices, what I know, once prices go down so fast, Indian buyers are very reluctant to buy. Okay, some day down the line that has to change because the stocks in India are just not sufficient, and we will just not be able to ship that crop fast enough. So the persons or the people who can ship fast enough will do okay. Everybody else will suffer. So I still think you know Myanmar would be in a far better, superior situation. So would Kenya because they have better logistics than the rest of the three countries.
No, I totally agree with you. And Samir bhai, actually, like one of the discussion we had in Tanzania, after that, actually, I looked at him. Being a researcher, I always believed in supply and demand and data, right? Being the king, right? Rather than the sentiment. But after your discussion, I've evaluated and I've seen like, you know, a lot of triggers lead to in Indian buyers having sentiment upside or downside. So if you can see like, you know, one of the reason for the downward turn or like, you know, last 25 days toward price crashing substantially, like, you know, close to 12 to 13%. Was, and I'm saying lemon, Desi tour has not getting impacted so much, but the imported Myanmar cargo and then Africa also. One of the reason for this, like, you know, trigger of going down was that people were expecting African cargo to come early and come in big numbers, right? In fact, there were like, you know, discussions happening on group, like, you know, talking about Mozambique being 4 plus 1.5 of previous carry, 5.5 coming from Mozambique and 2.5 coming from Tanzania, a lack of tons coming from Malawi. So everybody is looking at 11, 12 or lakh tons or 1.1 to 1.2 million metric ton coming in span of 2 to 3 months. And that led to like, you know, people jumping to Africa rather than like, you know, from moving away from lemon, and that led to price correction. But now this can also be a reverse trigger, right? Because now people understand that like, you know, what is coming from Mozambique is previous year's crop, right? Till the August, and I don't see the new crop coming. It is only the previous year crop which should be coming. At the same time, similarly, like, you know, Tanzania, because of the new auction policy, we have seen only like, you know, 123 tons only being traded so far, right? And that can only be dispatched in next week. Rest of the thing is going to take some time to like, you know, come on board getting auction. Now, do you think that this can also lead to another way of like, you know, upside sentiment in India, that Africa crop is delayed and also not crop, I would say deliveries are delayed, and a lot of people would have actually like, you know, booked forwards for the same time. If you see that, like, you know, people have are expecting delivery from Tanzania in August. I know force majeure clause can be invoked, but that will lead to another panic, and the panic on the upside. Do you think that scenario is also possible? And government should be careful about that scenario?
I mean, if you remember in our last meeting, I said that that's very highly likely. You know, just the fact that we have had a $400 reduction in prices, I think it's natural to expect some kind of a bounce. So, you know, the sentiment or the justifications will come later, but I do expect a bounce. No, I mean, just simple maths, you know, you pull a string too much, it will stabilize somewhere. So it's gone down $400, $100 jump up, $150 jump, even $200 it still doesn't change the fact that overall it's a downward moving price. But you know, in the middle there could be some ups and downs, and there should be. It's only healthy. We need to see a bounce for it to be healthy.
And one more, like, the thought which I am having, or I'm saying that these are my views, very, very strongly my personal views, but I would like to also understand from you, right? We are seeing that trading exchange being transparent. I'm saying that super transparent, where somebody sitting in Dubai is doing the trade in Tanzania, seeing exactly the screen, what's happening, right? And do you think that a country like Tanzania, which itself has a very limited number of traders, right, should be allowing any IPs outside Tanzania to also be having the view and the trade? Because you know that, like, the Dubai and Singapore is having far more funds to manipulate market than actually Tanzania itself. And this I was talking to a lot of key traders to get their sense of what the first auction of Tuar would be. And the sentiment in the market was from 2600 to roughly 2750. And before the exchange notification came, right, in Morogoro, I was on the field, right. I was finding that actually, it was roughly 2100 plus delivered in Morogoro, right, not even to Dar. Then there is cost to bring that material to Dar. There is a packaging cost, right. There is a loading and unloading cost. So end of the day, you were looking at material reaching Dar close to 2400 shillings, right. And then suddenly, I saw that one of the gentlemen I knew, he started bid sitting out of Tanzania, right, at 2100, right, and then haven't started falling, right. So do you see that actually, there has to be some level of understanding by the quote unquote, because if this is happening in India, I would not like it, right, that somebody manipulating my market setting, maybe in Tanzania, right, or in Singapore and Dubai, if my material is on exchange. Do you think that this is something which government of Tanzania should look into it?
No, definitely not. I mean, look, all change is not accepted by people, okay? When we started doing WhatsApp calls, I'm sure the telcos hated it, okay? But now everybody does a WhatsApp call. I mean, we're doing a Zoom meeting right now. It would have been unheard of 5 years ago. So change is inevitable, okay? And ultimately, what is the main purpose of the option? It's for the farmers to get a better price, right? I mean, and for that is the first and main purpose of it. So if someone sitting outside Tanzania has access to the option, that's because they have registered a company who has put a bond in here. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That is just the natural way things are going to progress. So it's going to be more transparent. I don't like it, but does it really matter what I like or not? It's just a fact, you know. I'm like the old telcos. I don't like, I'm old telco, didn't like WhatsApp. I don't like this, you know. I prefer everything is hidden and we get a better chance. But you know what? Life is life, you know, things are going to change. So we have to accept change. I think it's a perfectly good system for the benefit of the Tanzanian farmer. So, you know, who am I to complain?
No, I totally agree.
Government the wrong advice, you know. I think it totally works for the farmers. So yeah, they should do it.
No, I'm totally in for a system. So TMX is one of the excellent system, and coming from Tanzania itself, I believe like a lot of countries will follow that. I'm all for it. It gives farmer pretty decent prices, and there is a transparency, right? What I was just talking about is that, external people outside Tanzania playing a role, because if prices go low, it also impact farmer, right? If the prices were 2300, farmer would have got 2300, right? If prices are for whatever reason quoted at 1850, right, it is lost to the farmer. So I believe, there is a little bit more improvement is possible in life. We have to improve. So I would believe the systems will also improve going forward. We also have Guru from Africa. So Neeraj, can you request Guru to start his video and be unmute? We'll have some question to him as well.
So let me wrap up for this
Yes, sure.
for this auctions. As long as the prices are being pushed up by the outsiders, I think the government should do nothing about it.
No, it's other way around. That's why I'm saying.
Should interfere.
No, Samir, I'm saying that only. It is other way around. That's why I asked this question. It would have been other way around. Farmer getting more money, I would be the first person to congratulate and say that super excited, right? Farmers should get more. I always believe, it's the end of the day, they put all the heart. And I've been believe in Africa, and I've seen the hardship these farmers are facing, right? With lack of infrastructure, lack of transportation, very difficult to get inputs, and they are struggling against nature. So hats off to the farmers of India, Tanzania, Myanmar. They're doing a fabulous job by putting food on our table. Over to you, Guru. So Guru, we are looking at Tanzania to provide us a lot of tuar dal, our sambar is very important to us, and you are responsible to making that sambar taste sweet, right? So your views on we have initially talked about numbers of close to 1.9 lakh ton or 0.19 million metric ton coming from Tanzania. Maybe it could get a little bit delayed for various reasons. Do you see those numbers and understandings correct, and your views on that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So 0.19 million ton. Can we expect that in 3 months coming to India?
Yeah. So yeah, that number seems correct at the moment. There's no changes on those numbers.
So we will see that 0.19 million metric tons coming to India in next 3 months. Your views on that?
Yeah, the numbers seem correct. Just that the auction system will. Yeah, just the shipment time will slightly be delayed. It will not. Most shipments will not happen in August. It'll actually be happening in September. So that's the minor challenge in this. But apart from that, the numbers seems okay. The crop harvesting has already been started in good numbers, and in South we are expecting good crop in the auctions. North, it's a bit too early for the auction. That's why you see a bit of low quantity in the auction thing. But it's just because it's very early. Normally South starts before North. This time around, it's a bit different. But the major crop of North will start coming in from September, end of August, September. So that's when you will see higher quantities in the auction. Apart from that, if due to these challenges, early shipments are attracting more demand from buyers. So I think August shipments, even in this market, we can easily sell at the moment. Then the next comes August, September shipments. Again, it's a bit easier. September, October, it's a bit more difficult to sell at the moment because people don't want to take any more further forward trades. But for August, pure August, we see very good demand. And August, September, okay, they're thoda stable. In terms of numbers, Tanzania seems okay. It's on bound to reach these numbers. It's not that great where it will pass the numbers, but it will somehow trade around those numbers.
And Guru, what happens? There have been already start of the season, there have been a lot of forward trade booked for August, right? And now that looks like to be not possible. Do you see that will also have some implication on the market? Defaults in the August deliveries from Tanzania?
Yeah, I see. You see, there's a lot of things sold as August, September shipment. Forward sales was very high in this season. Like how the earlier panelists also discussed. A lot of tour sales have been speculative. There have been a lot of forward trades being done. So in the auction, we see at least the first 3, 4, 5 auctions to be covered by people who have done those forward trades, so that they can fulfill their positions on time. Then only after those auctions, then only we can see maybe corrections in the prices where it will reflect the current market. But as of now, in the coming auctions, we feel that people will still quote higher than the current market as they are covering cargoes for their pre-sold positions.
Perfect. Makes sense. Now I go back to the next crop. Thanks a lot, Guru and Samir, for pitching in with your knowledge of tour. And I think Sunil bhai is having a question. So Mr. Patwari, yes, please go ahead, sir.
I have a question on what the point you raised that traders out of Singapore or Dubai can influence auctions. So I would just like to understand how can they influence, because if traders out of Singapore and Dubai or Tanzania, because it's a computer bidding, and whoever is going to bid and pay higher price, they get the tender. So
Okay.
Yeah.
anyway, it's good for the farmers. If there are more traders, whichever part of the world, they'll be bidding more, and the highest one gets the tender, right?
No, sir, I'll
So how
just add
does
here. Yes, so I'll add a small bit here, and we can definitely take it offline. See, sir, what has happened is that someone sitting in Dubai and in Singapore, they are having lack of information about how this tender works. And I'm talking about a gentleman who is doing that. He was not aware that actually, like, exactly what he needs to pay, where the location is. So without understanding the location, you bid low because you don't add up the cost, right, which you will be incurring. Now, somebody actually puts a price which is even not realizable, right? FOB price itself, right? He might end up burning his hand. But what going to happen is that for all the traders, he has put a benchmark. Now, something which is worth at 2,300 shillings, I start bidding at 1,850, right? Without understanding that there is the overheads of 300 or 400 shilling on top of it, which will make 2,200 to be the right number. I what I've done is that actually, like, started bidding at the wrong foot itself. And then actually rest of the people, like, if, for example, if I'm a trader in Tanzania, why I should, knowing very well 2,300 is the right price, why I should be bidding at 2,300 if I'm getting that material for 1,850 or 1,900? So what I'm saying is that sometimes what happens is that Africa is a different terrain, right? There are, and the system is maturing. They have done on sesame last year. This year they are doing for chickpeas. And chickpeas, there was this question mark. The first auction, whether the platform fees would be charged or not, will it be charged, at what number it will be charged, there were emails. So what I'm saying that the outsider, they are not aware. In fact, the gentlemen I'm talking about, 3 gentlemen who have bidded, if you ask them the location where this warehouse was, they would not even know how far it is from Dar es Salaam, right? And what are the challenges of getting that cargo to Dar es Salaam. So then actually what happens is that you bid in the misinformation, they'll burn their own fingers. At the same time, they'll end up like, I think they should go to Tanzania, understand the geography, and then bid. That is only by a limited point. Now, sir, coming back to you now, sir, we are talking about Udar, because now Africa is not having a big role to play when it comes to Udar, except I believe future they will go Udar for India as well, because the agroclimatical zones are good enough. Sir, when we talk about Udar, like, the numbers which we are looking at when we talk about India is carry in of close to 0.1 million metric ton. And then we had production of 2.1 million metric ton, imports of close to 0.7 million metric ton, mostly coming from Myanmar itself, and supply of 2.9 million metric ton. Last year we had a little bit of challenges, but this year what happened is that, like, if you see consumption of 2.8, we are having carryover of close to 0.1 million metric ton. So I don't see too much of upside from here. And then the next year crop, like, while all the pulses, we have had a double-digit increase in sowing. Udad, it has been so far not that exciting, right? That numbers are as good as last year and lower than the 5-year average. Your views on how do you see, like, the outlook, and do you think still Myanmar would be having some crop left to export to India?
So this question is for me or for Shyam?
Shyam is not there, sir. I think because he just came
Okay.
from the airport, he dropped off. So I thought I'll take an opportunity to indulge
No,
you
no,
in
no, no.
Udas also.
I can
No,
take
Shyam
up
bhai is
here.
there.
So,
Shyam bhai is there. So first you, then Shyam bhai.
Let Mr. Sunil answer first, then I'll come.
Sure,
yeah,
sure,
so
sure, sure.
Myanmar, the udar production year by year has been getting better, and Shyam will share the numbers anyway. He's posting every month, doing a fantastic job in updating. So almost 500,000 tons are already being exported out of Myanmar, and this year we're expecting about 800,000 tons of the crop. And with the current price trend and everything, there have been enough cargo available for Indian supplies and market. There is no grip where people are buying, and we have our own crop coming up very soon. We just have 2 months to go, and Myanmar still have close to 300,000 tons of cargo. So I don't see a big shortage as such in the crop, and overall sentiments are down because if you talk about India, which is a main buyer, the funds of Indian buyers are all stuck up with yellow peas. People have bought a lot of yellow peas and they're not able to sell at any price in the Indian market. So people have limited capacity of funding. So a lot of people are stuck there. Some people stuck with Masoor. So there's no much fund available for people to speculate. Poor people bought it high, market has dropped, so people have burned. So speculation I don't see, and people are very, very careful in purchasing. I'm not seeing demand from India at all, and people are going just hand to mouth for black market.
No, I totally agree on the funding part, sir. Actually, like, some of the very large players who bid for tenders and all that, and they are also raising like, funds from outside. So yellow peas and masood have definitely sucked out a lot of liquidity. And I believe like, that's a success of the government. Like, if it's come directly or indirectly, they've been able to keep prices of pulses low because of that. Shyam bhai, your view on Urad, sir?
Black Mapte or Urad, Myanmar production, as Mr. Sunil also said, it's every year it's going up. I remember in 2021, it was 4 lakh metric ton in 21. Now in last year, I mean this current year 2024, the production is around 9 lakh metric ton. I remember in the month of January and February, people were speculating that the production is 4 lakh or 5 lakh or maximum 6 lakh ton. In every platform, I only said this: be careful. Myanmar has enough cargo. We have good production numbers. Now, in the month of July and August, people are realizing it. 5,30,000 tons have already been exported out of Myanmar, and another 3,50,000 tons and over is still there in Myanmar. So one have to be very careful. As I said, this market is ruled by sentiments, not by fundamentals. So Myanmar have enough numbers to supply, but even I see even the balance 3,50,000 tons is nothing for India demand. If there is a small problem in the rainfall, I mean if there is excess rainfall, 3,50,000 tons is nothing. As we know, the Indian production is very close to 2.2 to 2.5 million tons. Depend last year, like it was lower. So if the consumption is around 2,50,000 tons per month, so 3,50,000 is just 1.5 month consumption for India. But it all depends on the current Kharif crop and the rainfall in August and in September. If the rainfall, the way it is going is normal, absolutely no problem. This price is fair. Current price in Yangon is around 899 FOB level, which is good price for the millers and consumers, and the current retail price in India. This is in parity. But as we witnessed, because of the panic, the market went to say 11,070, 80. It has come down $180 in last 1 month. As you can see, the panic. And because of panic, it is further going down. Say yesterday it was 900, today is 890, and maybe tomorrow 880. So all this is panic. The price is fair, but because of panic, people are selling. They don't see the fundamentals. As you clearly explained, the fundamentals for PGNP is that next 3 months there will be good demand, and there is no crop in India. So one should know the fundamentals. Same I say for Urad also. The earliest Indian crop in quantity will come from September end. So next 2 months, still there is a demand in India, at least 5 lakh tons we needed for next 2 months. But there is no big stock in any port. Hardly 40 to 50,000 tons of stock in Chennai or Calcutta port is available. Not much. So one should know the fundamentals. Next 2 months, 3 months, what will be the demand, what will be the supply. Yes, Myanmar have stock that is available, but not so cheaper.
And Shyam, I would add one more thing. I was having some discussions with the farmers of like Mape in India, and they expect like the crop this year to be lower than the previous year, and that is one of the reasons they are not growing urad in big numbers, because when the rain was expected in that area, it has not happened, right? And the germination was a problem, so they have like looking for shifting to other crops. So urad, I like in fact in my projection for next year, right, it is very early times, right? It's still like it's there is advanced estimate 1 2 3 for even government changes, so we can also do that. But today I am looking at like crop would be sub 2 million metric ton. That's a possibility in India, and that's I believe like it's something we have to keep our eyes and ears open for, both urad and tuar. Very interesting crop. With that, I would like to thank my panel, Sunil bhai, Samir bhai, Shyam bhai, Guru bhai, everyone. Like you have been so kind for attending it. In fact, you have very recently a marathon session in Delhi, still joining. Right? Thanks a lot. Really appreciate all of you, and looking forward to see you in GrainsWorld Dubai, sir.
One more
Perfect.
point, Deepak ji, I want to
Yes,
add
Sunil
is
ji.
the exchange. Myanmar exchange is really on a toss. currently today people are talking about 6,100. So it's a super weak exchange, which will also impact the price, and price might come down because of exchange. Exchange is really very bad in Myanmar.
No, I totally agree that actually exchange rates are in Myanmar a little bit like, official and unofficial. There's a lot of confusion around it. So with that, like, I believe like, government of India is working on it, having direct like, rupee to kyat trade, and that once it happens, I think life would be easier for Indian trading community dealing with Myanmar. With that, I thank all of you, and we'll go to the next panel discussion, which is again very interesting topic, like, and this topic is chickpeas, and we all know that chickpeas are something we all have been seeing prices rising, and creating all sort of challenges for trade community, for the government and everyone. And here again we are having a very awesome panel. We have got already Mostyn joining us. We are having Rahul Chauhan, we are having Mr. Faisal, and we are having the Kabuli King, Mr. Navneet Singh Chhabra. So welcome on board, all of you. I believe Mr. Hari would also be joining from Africa. Faisal is from Pakistan, and Pakistan is also one of a competitor to India when it comes to like, importing chickpeas. And so we have a competition not just in cricket, we also have competition in chana. And sometimes actually, like, when I was talking to my counterparts, my friends in Pakistan, and they said that actually when you increase prices, it creates problem for us. and it's luckily for India, it's not vice versa, because we are numbers are, the population is more, imports are more. I'll just go with some of the numbers which we believe are there, and Rahul Bhai is also master of numbers. Same, I would leave the Kabuli to Navneet ji, because like, he's authority on that. I have no reason to be like, giving numbers on Kabuli in front of him, and that will embarrass me more. So I won't be doing that. So Naveen bhai, Kabuli, you'll have to like, give the numbers. Talking about desi chickpeas, like, we had a pretty like, last year we had a very good carry in, because the NAFED was having a lot of stock, like, close to 3.6 to 3.7 million metric tons. Last year it came down to just 0.5 million metric ton, and the production was, while the government numbers were pretty high, we expect like, it to be close to 8 million metric ton. Imports, while like, we were upbeat about the opening of imports from Australia, but because it was the fag end of the season, we were not able to import much from Australia. We did import like, close to 0.12 million metric ton, that is 1.2 LMT from Tanzania, and roughly by, I'm saying that before the new crop comes in from Australia, we would be having another 0.13 million metric ton coming from Australia. So altogether import would be 0.25 million metric ton. And if I add all these, like, we are looking at supply of close to 9 million metric ton. Consumption is 10.5 million metric ton. And this leads to a pretty decent shortfall of 1.5 million metric ton. And we are still looking from where to get it, because Australian crop is not going to come early. And this 10.5 also include 1 million metric ton of substitution from yellow peas. With that, I would like to go to Rahul. But Rahul, do you think these numbers are okay, close, or you would like to add your own numbers, because you are also having a pretty decent expertise in tracking the numbers in India?
Thank you, Deepak, for inviting me on this event. And the figures which you have shown there, I'm quite comfortable on that. And the figures, you are on 9 figures, they are approximately equivalent. So first of all, I like to share one PPT that is only 7 pages. So
sure, we can do that.
Yes, it will be more clear from that.
Perfect.
I hope it is coming visible to you.
Yeah, it is visible. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
First of all, this is about supply and demand. Last year, I'm expecting about 9 million metric ton of production, which was lesser than 10.5 million metric ton, which was in Rabi 23. In Rabi 24, everybody knows that due to late monsoon and less moisture content, the chana sowing was less. And one more reason was that in Rabi 23 season, the prices were not so good, even in 22 season also. So farmers, they have reduced the sowing of gram in 24. If you see about this procurement on MSP is still increasing. And last year we have about last year means Rabi 23 we gave government they have procured 2.6 million metric ton of chana, and which was 2.5 in Rabi 22. Altogether, before the season was starting, there was about 3.5 to 3.7 million metric tons of chana available with the government. Through that, they have controlled the prices. Now, coming back to the production numbers, last year, opening stock, I assume that it will be about 2 million metric ton. And after import of 1 million metric ton, this import I have taken till March 25. So supply will be 12.07 million metric ton. If I go with the consumption of 10.35, this includes the consumption of seed also. At the end of this season, we will be having 1.6 to 1.7 million metric tons of balance stock with us, which was 2.07. So the highlights and lowlights for the previous seasons, they are like this. The consumption of pea of the chana was improved because the pea imports was banned from last 5 years. Now it is stagnant because the pea import has been opened, and quite a small portion of chana consumption there, it has been moved to pea consumption. So that figure I have also shown in my consumption figures. So pea import, it resulted about 1 to 1.5 million metric ton of lesser consumption of desi chana. And as per the industry is saying the actual production it is lesser than 8.5 million metric ton, but I don't think so. It is lesser than that. And if you see the arrival trend and the price trend, you can they tell us about the exact production of any crop. So this the full Rabi 24 season, the arrivals in the local markets, they were not like in 22 season or 23 season. So the of course the production of this chickpea in India has been reduced, which is resulting the prices to move upwards. And now you can see the festive season demand is coming, and even after putting stock limits on chana, prices are still moving upwards. So last season market was overflown by the NAFED sales and NCCF sales, and due to that the market was in range bound. So even after nowadays NAFED is also selling chana through tender. Even after selling chana and putting stock limits on chana, the prices are not moving. That means the product, there is an issue of availability in India. Last Rabi 24 season, the procurement of government, it was nil as it was applied in Parliament, and as the prices were above MSP. So next figure, it will be the import and export figures. Like in the summer 23, we have started import, removing. We have removed import duty from desi chickpea, and after that you can see the import is increasing from May, June, and July. June and July, this data I have taken from the port, and I assume that this financial year from April to July, we have imported about 0.82. Rather, you can say 82,000 of chana. Last year, the import was 1.63, and in 22-23 it was 0.6 lakh metric tons. Now you will see that the whatever stocks Australia was having was exported to India. Now the stocks are very less over there. Only Tanzania they have about 0.15 million metric ton of new crop which is started coming nowadays. So this financial year, I assume that after October to March, the total import of desi chickpea it may touch about 1 million metric ton. And import from October, it will increase as the new crop will start coming from there. Export pace is always normal. They're exporting maybe to Bangladesh and those things. This is the country-wise import duty. I have compared from financial year 2020 to this year's May. You will see the export of desi chickpea from Australia, it is increasing. And Tanzania, there are very good numbers of desi chickpea is exported to India. This is the price graph which everybody wants to see. Like in January, I have compared it from January 2020 to August of 24. That is 2 days rates. I have also compared that. The prices they have moved within this 4 years from 4,300 to 7,700. Today, Delhi, Rajasthan, Chennai has traded about 7,700. Now, these are the two lines which you can see on which the government has interfered in the market. They have, in December 23, they have started importing of chana and peas in the market. And from there, the market has fallen due to as the consumption pattern was changed. And now this festival season is coming, even after imposing stock limit on June 2024. Still the prices they are moving upwards. This is the summary of prices. Last year, Rabi 2020, the MSP was this one. Like those you can read it. In 2023, the MSP was 5,335 rupees, and the prices were above above MSP. So the procurement of government agencies were very less. In 24 season, जो भी गया है उसमें MSP was 5,440 and the prices they were above MSP and the procurement was less. Now what is happening due to festival demand and less less availability in the market, the prices they were improving. This is the short and long time prospect of prices, which I assume that market may trend like this. The short prospect is that prices they may trade upward side ahead of festival demand plus low production. Diwali is on 1st of November 2025, and the prices will remain strong for 3 months despite import from Tanzania, because it's very less numbers if you compare the consumption pattern in India. New auction system may hinder the imports for short duration. This is I'm talking about Tanzania. In Tanzania, the import prices they are about $850 per metric ton. In Australia, after mid of 24, the export will start, and this year we assume that there is a good crop in Australia. Our Australia partner will speak about that. And the prices till new Indian crop harvest begins, we may import about 5.5 million metric ton additional chana in India. These are indicative prices of old crop and new crop. And you can see the old crop prices are higher than the new crop, which ultimately is saying that the production in Australia is very good. So next year's sowing, I assume that sowing may improve in Rabi season, the coming Rabi season, because the prices they are now high, and last season also the prices were very on higher side, and MSP will also be announced by the government. Through this thing, I think the production area in MP and Rajasthan and Gujarat, it may increase. But in Maharashtra and Karnataka, it may be delayed because the tuber area has been increased and tuber is a very long crop, and the farmers of these states, they might go for other crops. Next season, due to high imports and increase in the area, in the local prices, increase the availability, the prices may trend low and the procurement will increase. And I fear that the history of Rabi 22 or 23 season, it may repeat. So these are the interventions which government can do. They can reduce the stock limits and regular physical checking of stocks they can do in the market, and they can drop duty on Kabuli chana as it can be consumed directly in basin, and extension of the imports. I assume that this is going to happen. Thanks. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot, Rahul bhai. I agree with majority of what you said. So I totally agree with you that the price, especially after the import opening of yellow peas, has seen a dip, because obviously there has been a shift of close to 1 million metric ton of demand. But at the same time, if we see that is also time historically, right, price start going down, right, in chana. So if you see past 3-4 years also, the dip is not that deep, but always typically, like, that is the time also you see that the chana prices actually improve expecting the harvest, and when the harvest is supposed to be good, then the price actually, like, typically dip, especially in the 2020 season if you see, because the harvest was good, and that was the actually price dip. This year harvest was not that great, so yellow peas definitely fell into that. Now coming to also one more thing, like, extension of yellow peas. If you see the correlation between the prices of chana, right? Currently, whatever substitution was supposed to happen has already happened, right? So even extending more of yellow peas is not going to impact chana price even for a 10 paisa, except for sentiment of couple of days. Because if you see that, I'll go with the numbers of yellow peas, right? We have imported close to 1.9 million metric tons of yellow peas so far in after opening. Production is 0.6 million metric ton. Carry was very less. It was 0.05. And total supply has become 2.45. And if you see out of that 2.45 supply, right, we would be having surplus of close to 1.8 million metric ton at the end of the year. So we are already having too much of yellow peas, and I don't think price is gonna go further down. But as one of our friend in the previous discussion was saying, yellow peas has taken away a lot of liquidity from the market. Now, without liquidity, will anybody stick their neck out and start importing chana also? It can have a counter. Sometime the trade policy of having more sucking out liquidity, right? We have seen in other places also when typically you suck out liquidity to control inflation, the growth stops. And this is where actually we need more chana, and you might not be having people right taking position in chana because the money is not available. And chana is a big crop, right? It should not happen that the interest in the market wavers and then it disrupts the supply chain. So I would not be very keen any extension. And in fact, from the day one when the yellow peas were open, I was against it. I believe actually it was not for the farmer, because this year we have seen sentiments of farmers. 50% reduction in yellow peas cultivation is going to happen in just eastern UP itself, 7 or 8 district, right? So intention there shows that because of these low prices, it is not viable for Indian farmer to grow yellow peas at all. So those farmer who took from close to 6 or 7 years back, right? Our production was close to 1.8 lakh tons, right? To the level of where we have reached up to 8 lakh tons, right? Nearly 7-time increase in production. Now this year, the farmers are totally not disinterested. And after a certain, I'll say numbers, there is the correlation between the price fall of chana and the yellow peas. Actually, if you put that on chart for past 2 or 3 years, you'll find actually after a certain level, yellow peas availability does not impact chana price at all. I believe only viable option which you also mentioned is that actually the opening of Russian Kabuli, because it can be used for basin. And also if you see that basin by definition of FSI in India is that the floor of chickpeas. So if you are using yellow peas, then actually it is not basin as per the definition of FSI. Right. So whether actually it will lead to a challenge in future, or whether it is adulterated product, or somebody have to put on the I'll say that their packaging that the floor of yellow peas. So all those confusions still exist. I would like to go to Mostyn. Mostyn, Australia would be very happy, right? Because when we used to import from Australia, right, you were growing 2 times of what you were growing last year and previous to last year. This year again, I think 50% increase in production. That is what we are expecting, close to 1.6 or 1.7 million metric ton, or even more. Your views on Australia, sir? And thanks a lot for joining. It's an honor to have you here, sir.
Thank you, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, Mostyn.
Excellent. So my take on Aussie is not about how much, it's about when. Because I think that the 1.6 is probably fair, right? Because we've got pretty much ideal conditions for Desi Chana in Aussie, not dissimilar to 2016. Your difference year on year for that year is probably acreage, in the fact that of seed availability, but timing for seeding has been ideal. And as you've seen with the lack of offers from Australia on old crop, even though on paper there was a carry-in, a lot of that availability of seed left in Australia went into the ground to grow new acres. So, but I think that the key point we need to look at is when. And we've got rainfall this week in the east coast of Australia, significant rainfall that will further delay the crop. And it does add to yield, but it certainly doesn't align with an early shipment window that would suit India ideally. Now, I guess my fear on that is that we pump prime prices with the fact that the market in Australia is unwilling, after 2016's experience, to offer aggressively front end. to be there, to be actively hitting demand for October, November shipment, when in actual fact, really our crop is a December, January crop. So I think that's and we're seeing that in the market, Deepak. I think, and the trade itself is trading around that, right? I would suggest that the trade in Australia were all caught out with the size of the crop in 2016 and the timing, and so the trade is generally much more conservative in regards to logistics. And I think logistics is the buzzword of this call, right? Logistics from Tanzania, be that the new system that should support the grower, be that logistics from Mozambique, be that logistics from Myanmar, from freight. I think logistics will limit what we can ship for India in a timely manner. Now, we will do our utmost. As you said, we're very, as an Australian trade, we're very happy to have Desis open again. But I think my only, cautionary tale would be that we need to be aware of logistics and those constraints. And container availability and bulk vessel loading is worse than 2016.
So I totally agree with you, Mostyn. The timing is very important here. Delay in Australian crop, one thing, it is gonna put pressure on prices in India, trying to push it up. And at the same time, any residual crop from Australia, typically Australia is in market till March, right? Selling their crop to different players.
Correct.
And I believe January, Feb could be serious dip in case you are left with a lot of crop on hand. So I believe the international trade community should be aware about that Indian demand will start diminishing actually from mid of November. And if by that time whatever comes in could be at good price, but anything after that you will find that every week price dipping, and to the level where actually March it could be at I'll say that back to the level of 68 or 70 rupees in India, and this is where I see happening. Your views on actually how much percentage of it could be could be before December of Australian crop could come to India?
So Deepak, I think, and this is probably and a good thing to understand for the trade with India, is that the East Coast logistics of Australia is built around an average crop. Right? So GrainCorp, the elevation is all built around an average crop. Completely opposite to Canada. Canada's West Coast logistics through Vancouver can effectively export 120% of the crop. Right? There's too much elevation. Right? We're well aware of that. We're seeing that with what's happening with red lentils at the moment. We're seeing that with peas, etc. The ability to elevate is there, whereas Aussie is the opposite. The other thing as well is we also have to compete with what will be an excellent, maybe not record, but close to record wheat crop on the East Coast, barley and canola. So it's about competing. I think you'll find that the trade will advocate and allocate logistics to chickpeas. The problem we have from a timeliness of that is the most inefficient ports are those that are going to have to do the heaviest lifting. It's like South Australia. We only see Travis Head play for Australia. He plays pretty well, but he's only one player. New South Wales cricketers, they fill all the spots, right? So it's not that they're better, it's just there's more of them. But no, all jokes aside, we'll leave cricket aside on that. But the issue we have, mate, is the elevation that we can do in a timely manner is limited. It's limited by rail, it's limited by berth, and it's limited by the distance from that crop to port. So there's, again, I'm not trying to just send a bullish story. My concern, as it was in 16, is the inverse, is when is it available? And the problem we have as a market is that, unlike 16, the grower has not been advocated to sell it. They're very well aware that there is a requirement with India. They learned from 16, and they're not a seller. So it feels like it's all going to have to get done at the grower's beck and call, so to speak, at the last minute, just in time, out of central Queensland. Now, on paper, central Queensland can lift 300,000 tonnes between October and December. But it really can only lift 50,000 tonnes per port per month. So to get that volume, we really need Brisbane to come online, and that will be weather dependent, and that crop is big and late. So, okay, let's say we see a dry September. We see a dry October, this thing comes on, and it will be available November. If you see La Nina developing, you see wet weather developing on the East Coast, it will delay the crop. Potentially we see downgrades on quality, like we did in 16 between spreads. The size of the crops would facilitate the fact that there'll be enough good quality available, but my key is timing. So I think you're going to find that potentially October you only see a lifting of 75k in vessel, and maybe 25k in containers. And again, that really depends on the crop and the timing. November should be heavy lifting. I think if you look at 2016 Deepak and run your numbers on what you saw that year, I think you work on 80% of that number, because Australia's ability to access food quality containers is lower, and the vessel routing has been advocated away from Australia and equipment away from Australia to move goods between China, the States, China and Europe. So container availability a problem, bulk vessel stem a problem, crop not a problem, the timing of it a problem.
Perfect, Mostyn. So, Mostyn, actually, like, I'm more worried about Canadian and Russian farmers of yellow peas more than the farmers of chickpeas in Australia. I know you are having problems, but their problem is mightier. Canada with, like, prospective production of 2.5 million metric ton, Russia 3.6 million metric ton. And if you see that China is not coming on board, right, their demand is not as great as it used to be. Right, India sitting with surplus of 1.8 billion metric tons of yellow peas for next season. If we add our own production, God bless them. Like, I see a lot of challenges there, because without the demand and India exiting the market. See, because even if I'm saying that government extends or don't extend it, who would, like, want to buy when you are having 1 million metric tons sitting on your ports, right? With production, like consumption not being there. So your any specific views you do have on the plight of Russian and Canadian farmers of like, getting the right price? Because I think currently there are 380 or 390 odd. I see that maybe dipping a little bit more.
Potentially dip. I think one of the things, and my old adage is look to wheat, right? I think the pulse trade gets fascinated with our pulse prices, but frankly speaking, pea growers are wheat growers, and wheat growers first. Pea growers are canola growers, and they're canola growers before pea growers. So can they sit on it? Yes. Will they sell it at harvest? Yes. Are we seeing that? 100%. Does it get to a stage where it's not a sell for the grower? That's probably a wheat relativity. So tracking mini and Chicago wheat's probably a good one. But yeah, at the moment it feels pressurized. I think, as you rightly said, probably the usage, the ability to substitute Basan with peas is limited, really, maybe max 15% of that total demand. And we're looking at sort of that inelastic demand of about 1 million tonnes. Peas feel onerous. And I think that's one of the concerns I have with chickpeas, is that while I'm very supportive front end, my concern is that we are fixing India's balance sheet all at once. And I guess to your point as well, that while it might not be as attractive to plant chickpeas as an Indian grower at a lower MSP, it's still reasonably attractive. High prices during high prices. So yeah, it's a concern. But my main concern, I think, Deepak, and you raised it rightly so, and we discussed it in the tour discussion as well. If there's no liquidity, or if there's reduced liquidity because of government intervention, and or trade intervention and or a liquidity crunch because of another commodity, it makes it very hard to fix the S&D, right? So I think to the gentleman's point from Tanzania about tour and seeing some volatility, potentially we do on chickpeas too, right? Because if people aren't willing to take a speculative trade on chickpeas in front of a grower not selling it, it's going to be very difficult to elevate and move the required, right? So I think we are in for a lot of price movement just around the commodity itself. The one thing I would say vis-a-vis 16 versus this year is the grower in Australia, and I'll talk Australian growers here, and this probably is true of Canadian growers too. They are very, 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 very cashed up. So there's not a cash flow prompting reason to sell. Whereas in 16, the grower in Australia came from an absolute dire East Coast drought between 14 and 16. And then their crop was cured in 16. Whereas that grower has had, the East Coast grower has had a sensational sorghum crop, a very good mung bean crop, and a good cereals program from last year. So their values are good, right? Their cash flow is good. That's also why they're very comfortable to sit and wait with high prices before selling.
Well, perfect. Makes sense. Now, I would like to go to Mr. Hari. So, Hari Bhai, Africa is toast of the town, right? We all know, the very interesting. Recently, we had one of the auctions. Sir, your view on, the crop being around 1.5 or 1.2 to 1.5 lakh LMT, lakh metric tons. And how do you see, that reaching India? Do you see challenges, and how are the price sentiments there? Because I believe last the auction gave a pretty decent value to the farmers, at least to start with. Hari bhai, I'm audible? Hari bhai, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the
please.
host has kept me on mute.
my apologies. My apologies.
Yeah. All right. Okay. As far as Tanzania is concerned, okay, I think you would have already seen the first tender go through. Okay. Looking at the numbers, I feel that if there was a inclusion of government fees, about 183 shilling or something. If that is not included, I feel the markets, the tender rates are pretty okay compared to what we are getting in the Indian market. Yeah. So as of now, as you see, Tanzania is coming at a crucial stage, where there's no other cargo available for India except for Tanzania. So these 3 months were pretty crucial for India as well, due to the festive season and all. So I feel that Tanzania crop, as you said, is around 1.2, 1.3 on the higher side. So more or less, probably 90% will be exported. The balance 10% will go for local consumption, border trade, this and that. So from my view, these levels even today, we're able to get 850 plus for Tanzanian desi from Indian market. I mean, Pakistan is also interested. They are slightly on the lower side, $5-10, but India is buying at $850 even today. So compared to these tender prices and what we are getting in the market, it's pretty decent. So if this, I feel that the market shouldn't go very high from here, because there's always an option for the Indian government to extend this yellow piece as well. And even this yellow piece extension thing is pretty far as well, October 31st, if I'm not wrong. They still have time till October 31st. Yeah,
and
so
that
now
is on
it's
BL
only
basis.
August.
And Hari, that is on BL basis. So you have another, once you load the cargo, another 20-25 days. So by all practical means, you're looking at till end of November. you can have cargo coming in India of yellow peas. But we already have a lot of yellow peas. Like, even if any extension is. I'm sitting on 1 million metric tons of yellow peas, right? Without any consumption. So.
See, from my view, the extension shouldn't happen because India has already been a dumping ground for this yellow peas off late. Because of 100%. For the extension, and even the local farmers have not got the right price. Last year they were getting 70 something, if I'm not wrong. This year, what they are getting?
At harvest realization was 53 rupees. Their cost of cultivation is close to 36 rupees, right? So they were having decent margin there, 50% upside, more than 50% upside. This year, God bless them. I don't think they will be even growing it, like.
Yeah. So from my view, they shouldn't further extend this. Even as far as I'm concerned, either they extend the yellow peas or they don't extend the yellow peas. Are they impose a duty or not? It's not going to affect the Tanzania business because this is something. It's a smaller crop as well. It's not such a huge crop to be worried about. It's a very small crop, and moreover, it's also coming during a crucial time where there's festive demand. There's no other crop from anywhere else in India. And if not India, Tanzania is also able to export this commodity to Pakistan, who's also pretty interested. So these levels, I don't think the markets will definitely go down from these levels. There are high chances that they could be a possibility of $20-30 increase in prices.
Right. Hari, one more thing, the first auction, there was some confusion. First it was that 184 shillings, the charges for the platform plus loading, unloading and all that are inclusive. Then it was said it is exclusive. Has that problem got sorted out, or
no, we haven't got a proper clarification on that yet.
No, so because if 184 is added, then you are talking about CFR close to $900 in India.
That's why I said if you remove that 184, then it's an attractive price. It works. If you add that, then it becomes difficult.
Yeah, that would add up more pressure. And in rightly mentioned, please complete, sir.
No, they should. They will also understand the market levels in India. At what levels Indians are the buyers in India are looking. So probably they'll make those corrections, and for the next tender, I think we'll have a clear idea as to what the charges are and what would be the price. So as of the first tender is concerned, we haven't got a proper clarity from.
Right. Now we are also having our friend from Pakistan, and I believe Faisal bhai, Hari is there. He loves to sell to you, right? And he's saying that you are our option. We are the first choice, but seeing the condition in Pakistan, I've seen Pakistan has taken cargo close to between 820 to 840. A lot of transaction has happened. Do you see Pakistan willing to pay a little bit more in case Indian prices goes up? It could pressure there. So how do you see Pakistan? And please share with us the demand supply situation and how's your crop, or you are totally dependent on import. And welcome. It is pleasure to have the guest from the country which is our neighbor. So happy to have someone from Pakistan. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Deepak ji. Thank you for having me on this panel with all the veterans of our pulses industry. To give you an outlook on desi chickpeas, actually what is happening is that Pakistan bought, as you said, that from 820 to 840 levels from Tanzania, because our patch, which is right now August, September, October, we are empty for desi chickpeas, and whatever we had earlier in terms of desi chickpeas, which was stocked in, which came in bulk vessels to Pakistan, it is all in the pipeline and is being consumed as we speak. So we bought about 500, 600 containers of Tanzanian desis in the meantime. And today there was some business of Australian desi chickpeas as well in our local market for about 10 to 15,000 tons in bulk vessel. As the freights have been increasing for Australia, it gets very difficult to trade into containers. So some business was done today to fill in this gap of September. It was September shipment, so it will fill in the gap of October, November. And the parity between Australian desis and Tanzanian desis, we have to take about $25 to $35 per ton difference. Price quality difference is there. So if we trade 860 at Australian prices, we need to have around 840, 45 for Tanzanian desis to be traded. But as India's demand is there, so the prices are a bit high for Pakistan right now. So this is how it is going, and our major consumption would be before our new crop. Our new crop will be in April, May, but our Ramadan is starting in 1st of March. So we need to have desi supply maximum by end of January and beginning of February. So this patch, we have a demand there, and that we'll be filling in. We've traded the current crop of desis from Australia, and hopefully the new crop, when they'll start offering, we'll trade some of new crop from Australia as well. And as you already informed that Pakistan has to follow the market because India is the largest consumer, and with the policy changes and the market prices also changes for Pakistan also. So we need to follow and battle for the prices so that we can consume and buy some quantity from Australia or Tanzania and other origins.
Is 80-90 looks decent possibility if prices goes there, Pakistan would be comfortable even on those prices?
880, 890?
Yeah, $880, $890 per ton. Do you think that
Currently,
CFR prices would be okay for you?
See, in the containers, it is on the very higher side. So the buyers are very scared to buy on these high levels. So there's a very limited quantity buying is there. And what is happening is that that we are buying small limited quantities. Even the supply chain is only buying limited quantity what they can sell back to back, because you never know when the prices are so high, so it starts dipping down. And all the other commodities like yellow peas and black mint pay, they are all falling down. So a lot of funds are already stuck in these commodities, and buyers are making a lot of losses in those. So they're also a bit scared on the desi chickpeas as well, so that they are very careful and buying only limited quantities so that they can fulfill their demands and not make much losses on that.
Right. So one person who is laughing all the way to bank is Navneet Singh Chhabra. Navneet Singh Chhabra, right? You know, he's someone who is dealing in a product which is on rocket, right? So Navneet bhai, you are rocket Singh for us, right? So Kabuli, I think we have lost him or what? Yeah. So Navneet bhai, आप like you know बताइए काबुली में हम क्या सोचें सर? ये तो मतलब बिल्कुल आपका स्टॉक लिमिट क्या खुला, राइट? आप तो लाइक यू नो दौड़ा रहे हो बिल्कुल गाड़ी एकदम. Your views and sir, your numbers.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Deepak ji, for inviting me. I'm audible? All okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Audible and looking so handsome.
Thank you, sir. So, I mean, look, as per the Indian production numbers, we before at the time of the harvest, we are estimating the crop of around 500,000 tons from India, including the Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh. Then we have the yield issue in the Kabuli, and we are estimating now the crop is not more than 400,000 tons, more or less, for the Kabuli. And then this year, because the Kabuli started with very high prices, most of the farmers, most of the traders don't have stock. All the stocks is still with the farmer. And normally in July, August, the farmers did not bring with the crop. So that's why there is a big gap in the supply sides, and the traders don't have too much stock. That's why the market, because of the local domestic demands, it is too firm. As you said about the stock limit, so stock limit is, I mean, especially for Kabuli chickpeas, because it is having the name of chickpeas. This is under the stock limit, but actually it is an export product, so it is not needed. Not feasible to have the stock limit on that, and that's why the stock limit removed. But it is not a main reason to have the price, because our domestic consumption is increasing in the Kabuli day by day. For exports from India, we already completed around 60,000 tons till let's say till July. From the export side. So I think we can go up to 100,000 tons for export and 300,000 tons for domestic consumption with no carryover. So the farmers will bring crop in September, October in the mandi when they harvest the Kharif crop. So on that time, we will see some corrections in the market of Kabuli. But so far, July, August will remain the firm. So August also, we believe that it remain the firm. Now, as per this panel discussion, it is more about the desi and yellow peas, and we are talking also about the Kabuli. So I must say that now, because I'm seeing all this desi shortage, so I think it is a good time. I will only speak about the Russian Kabuli. I think it's a good time to government to think to remove the duty on the Russian carboli, only Russian. I think we don't have any shortage of the bigger calibers or like Canadian or US we need to import. No, we only can remove the duty, especially for the Russian carboli loading from Russia, because lots of the Russian carboli is always stock in Turkey. So yeah, I don't know why the government is delaying in taking decision. Maybe this was one of the point that if they import allow all the Kabuli or only the Russia. So my idea, if they only say as a Russian Kabuli, because we need it for alternate of the Desi chickpeas, I think it is a good measure if only the Russian Kabuli will free for import. And now its the price is also feasible. And what we are talking about, the total Tanzania crop, we can get 2-3 months the Russian crop, this much crop in India if we open it for free. And I think now the price is also very competitive so far. If after the duty open, market will increase, but now it's a very competitive price in Russia, and the Russian yield of flour is also good compared to the Desi chickpeas. So these are the points like this. I must say.
No, I totally agree with you on one thing. Actually, I've been always saying that the stock limits is a regressive step, irrespective of any commodity, right? I don't know why the governments do that. If you go with the empirical evidence, it can have very short sentimental value. Otherwise, like, if there is a genuine shortage, yes, when there is a speculation and when there is speculation, in fact, this time the tour speculation is on the other way around. People are shorting more than taking long position. So in such a scenario, stock limit doesn't help at all. And as you rightly said, like, there was no need for, because being an export product, no need of putting it on the Kabuli first step itself. Now, coming to your second point, I think opening up of Russian Kabuli, specifically Russian, as you rightly said, like, it can be straight away substitute, like, your desi chickpea for besan, that is flour. And I believe it should have taken yesterday, right? Or not even yesterday, a month back. Government has delayed it, and that is why you see 77, right? More the delay, like, and one which is 80, right? Then there actually this opening up will also not going to help. Like, you're already on the fire. And how much do you expect? Like, do you expect 0.2 million metric ton coming from Russia if government opens to remove the duty from 44% to 0%?
Sir, look, I mean, first you said one thing about the time. Yes, time is very important because it should be taken 1 month before. So we have the shipment booked for August, September. If we did not book the shipments of August, September, and let's say we will open for the Russia September, then Russia have always the problem in the logistics. Then it will not work for our Indian market. I mean, if it is arrive in December, what we will do? So, I mean, it is a right time if government taken 1 month before. But now also, if government give this message that okay, we will open it, and it will I think probably in a window of October loading, I think we from Russia we can able to load minimum 100,000 tons, 100 to 125,000 tons easily will come in this period. If we only open for the Russian Kabuli loading from Russia. If we open from Turkey also, then it will be 175,000 tons will become, I mean, Russian product loading from Turkey.
No, I would believe, like, we should restrict it from only from Russia. In fact,
Yes.
like, in July, we have recommended to the government as GGPC that actually, like, you should open up Kabuli immediately. Also, the green peas is already touched 150 rupees, right? Which is pretty high for that commodity, like, nearly upside of 70 to 80%. With that, actually, like, we are running out of time for this excellent panel discussion on chickpeas, Kabuli, and yellow peas. Thank a lot to my panelists, Rahul bhai, Navneet bhai, Hari, Mostyn, Faisal bhai. Thanks a lot. We really appreciate. Yeah, please.
Deepak,
Yeah,
last also I want to say, like now Desi is open. Russia also have the Desi crop. So probably India can also get 20,000 tons of the Desi from Russia. But I think there is some problem in HS code system or something. So we are trying to solve it. How we can solve? Maybe we need your help also on that.
No, sure. Anytime open for industry. In fact, if you can recall, like, this Mozambique issue, we have had requested the Prime Minister to intervene, and he intervened. And after that, we have seen that things have smoothened up. So we are always there for industry. Please, I think there for lentil also, while it is open, there is some phyto issues with Russia, right? So please share with us detail. We'll be more than happy to get involved and sort that out. And with that, thanks a lot. We are GGPC is always there for the community, sir. Looking forward to get more inputs from you. Thank you. So now we go to our next panel discussion, and this is very interesting panel discussion. Again, a commodity which is a little bit of, I'm saying that, going through choppy waters, so that is lentils. And I would request my colleague to add all those who are in the lentils panel. Yeah. So yeah, I'm having my close friend Deepak. Deepak bhai, welcome aboard. We are having Binod. Binod ji, thanks a lot, for joining. So I think that this lentil panel is all friends get together, right? All my close friends are there. So we have got Binod bhai, Jayjeev bhai, all the way from Australia. So late. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate all the way. Deepak bhai again, getting early 7 in the morning, if I'm not wrong, in Canada. So thanks a lot. So we are having truly all the coast cover, east and west of the world, not just Australia. So I start with the lady in the room, Harsha ji. Thanks a lot for joining. It's a pleasure to have you on this panel, ma'am. I'll just go through some of the numbers which we are having, and please, please feel free if you find those numbers to be on a wronger side. So carry in, we were having close to 8 LMT or 0.8 million metric ton because NAFED has purchased imported lentils in previous year. Production, again, our number is 1.5. Government was upbeat that it should be close to 1.6. But I'm saying there are 1.5, 1.6. It's not too much of difference in a large country like India. But Harshaji, we have seen a huge influx of import, right? Import has increased, right, substantially. It's nearly 2.5 times of what last year, right, with 1 million metric ton of imports. Which has put us in a little bit of a challenge because supply is now 4 million metric ton, right? And consumption is close to 2.7, 2.8 max. So this has led to 1.3 million metric ton of mustard available in the market, which led to all of the challenges of the pricing. And as our previous panelist in the previous panel said, sabka paisa phas gaya. Your views, initial views on that, Harsha ji?
Hello, Deepak ji. Thank you for having me in the panel. Let's start with what happened last year when we're talking about a huge import of lentils, like 1.6 million ton, right? We had a crop of 1.5 million ton. So that comes out to be, a number of, say, 31.7. Out of this, 6 lakh went to the government, right? But otherwise, whatever came is all consumed, because if you see the imported stock on the port, we are sitting around 1.5 lakh ton, which has come from April to June. So it is very much visible that whatever import came, it went into consumption. Out of this, 2 lakh ton went into exports also, like close to 1.8, 1,80,000. But then we have been seeing that government has been increasing MSP of lentils every year, and we have seen the production also going higher every year. Apart from that, the import have been higher. So we can clearly see that red lentils actually behaved as a substitute for tuar, which we have been saying last year also, that the price difference is too much. Not just the green lentils, I'm talking about both green and red lentils here. So if we see where is the consumption and why is the higher consumption? A consumption of 2.1 million ton, and then we have all our imports been consumed. So where it did go? We have added the export number also. So definitely lentils have behaved as a substitute for tuar last year. Being the low price commodity, it has moved very smoothly into the system. If we talk about South India, it was more about green lentils which went into substitution. But again, because of the higher prices and the dry market, we could not get a lot of imports coming to India in last few months, and we won't be seeing anything coming before October. So for another 2-3 months, we are dry on green lentils imports for India or availability of stocks in India. So again, coming back to red lentils have been behaving as a tuar substitute, and this year we haven't harvested our crop yet. We haven't seen what kind of number Africa will bring into our country at what point of time. So for another few months, again, I see the red lentils demand and consumption to be very well. I would like to add here, red lentils is a commodity, jisko when you put it in the plant, you get the process pulses in the evening. It's a very fast moving, it's a very fast rolling commodity. As far as liquidity is concerned, when we were talking about yellow peas, I would like to sell, even at a price, Everybody stuck up with the liquidity. So that has affected red lentil market to a bit, because at least the importers are able to sell their red lentils at a price. If you check the port stocks, or if you check the loading at different ports in India, red lentils have been a continuous business. We do know this because we work with a lot of millers locally as well, and we know what kind of lifting has been happening for red lentils. Now, why the price fall is, one would be the pressure that is coming from Canadian new crop pricing. Maybe because of the better yields they have this year, or maybe the harvest is like right on the time. Like we were expecting August to start, but it's a week delay because of some rain that happened last week. But again, normally September, October, where we'll see the harvest pressure of lentils coming from Canada, but this year it was a bit earlier. So one of the reason is that price pressure that we are seeing on our market is basically because of the overseas replacement that importers can see. And the only commodity, if they are having, apart from yellow peas, if we talk about Navasheva or Kolkata, it's mostly lentils that they have. So it is a moving commodity which they can easily sell in the local market. So why to hold on when you can replace the commodity, right? Now, coming to this year, as you said, even there was a yield issue in Kabuli, there was a yield issue in Chana. Then why the lentils crop was bigger? Definitely, there was a yield issue in lentils, and the government numbers of 1.72 does not match with my number. But again, government has done their job and come up with a number after their survey and everything. But as per the market, the number should not be more than 1.5 or 1.52. So again, this year, if we talk about our imports from March to June, we have imported around 1.75 lakh ton from Canada and Australia. The crops are good. We might be getting more of imports coming into the country. But the only question that everyone has here and in the market is, what is government going to do with their stocks? So they are sitting on close to like 8 lakh ton of lentils. So are they going to just offload those in next few months, or they are going to offload it slowly, gradually, once they are able to build a buffer for another commodity? At this point of time, what I understand, government has only buffer stock for lentils. They don't have a huge buffer for chana, unlike last few years. They don't have buffer for tuar. So, and both of these two commodities prices have been moving really higher. So is government going to sell their all buffer stock in next 2-3 months, or they're going to watch what happens with our tuar crop or our chana seeding or our chana harvest in coming time? So my experience says higher, actually. We will again see red lentils as a substitute of chana in coming time. That is for sure. That will come to know once you speak to many people in the market, once you understand how millers are offloading their stuff and what kind of demand for processed lentils is seen in the local market. That's what I like to add.
No, I totally agree with you. Like, there has been a substantial substitution, right? People are looking at yellow peas for tuar substitution, but actually it went to, like, in both, as you rightly said, like, red as well as green lentils. Green lentils, I'm not a big fan for simple reason. Substitution of a commodity which is priced same, right, to a commodity which is in shortfall doesn't work. But yes, red lentils, like, there was a substantial value, because, like, prices were nearly half of what, like, tuar was at one time, right? 120, 122 rupees, where, like, masoor was 63 odd rupees. So there was very, like, very good issue. Now, coming back to, like, your thought about the government. See, government, I believe, like, as we hit September, they'll go into panic mode, because you'll find, like, the pulses inflation has been 16%. You might see some respite in July, right? But it is still not going to be negative. It is definitely be, like, double digit. And then again, like, you see that August, like, it has come with a vengeance, because, like, everything has been discounted in July. So this might, like, make them look at least, like, liquidating 50 to 60% of their stock, because then they believe, like, it could have some impact on the ground. I would now like to go to Jayjeev.
I do agree with you when it comes to chana prices. Chana has the highest inflation weight, I would say. So chana prices moving higher is a very big concern for the government, I'm pretty sure. But somehow I do understand that they will be, and of course, lentils or any pulses is a perishable commodity. Nobody would like to sit on them for a longer time. So it's not your choice. Sometimes it's your compulsion to come out with your stocks and offload in the market. So that will keep happening. But at the current prices that we are seeing from Canada, or like Australia is not offering anything lower, which of course our friends will let us know about. But at these prices, it's a very good replacement for our market, and we see a very good price parity at these lower levels for importers.
No, I totally agree with you. I 100%. But again, ma'am, actually, like, the challenge is that it is being so low below MSP for such a long time. right? It doesn't work well when actually farmers are not able to get the realization, especially after the agriculture minister himself has said that we'll buy all the dalhan at the MSP, right? And that's not happening.
That's correct.
Moong as well as moong as well as masoor. 2M are a problem for the government. But Jayjeev bhai, the complaint for you are not selling actually at the right price to us. बड़ा महंगा आप ऑस्ट्रेलिया वाले माल दे रहे हो हम कभी कुछ करिए.
Sir, Canada is coming now. Canada is helping you guys to bring the prices down, so it's actually good. The product point of view, if you see, Australia has got no issues providing the product. The issue right now we're having is logistics, as even Mostyn mentioned. The logistics from Australia is becoming very hard to the subcontinent. It's very, very unpredictable as what the GRIs coming every month. It's unpredictable on perspective to what are the availability of the individual containers availability, stock availability at port, and all those sorts of similar logistics issues that we are facing. So currently today, to be very honest with you, there is limited supply of containers and space for Kolkata for lentils, which is the major market for India, major market for Australian lentils. So that's why the prices are not coming down, even though the local prices have come down in our levels of almost about 50 to 80 US dollars. But because the price of freight has gone up significantly, which is the reason why the prices haven't come down that much as the Canadian lentil prices have come down. Currently, there is no freight available to anybody for the month of September. There's no freight rates available for anybody for the month of September. So we are almost mid-August, and we do not have any freight rates for Kolkata as of today for September. For sure, which ones, like if you want to decide, we don't know what would be the freight. GRIs are impacting, containers are impacting, space is impacting. So that's one of the main reasons why you're not seeing any offers coming as well. So even though the products are available, there are no offers coming in there. And that's the problem that we are facing. On top of that, the farmers are also not willing to sell any lower. They are sitting on they're comfortably sitting on cash. They're comfortably sitting on the product, and they are happy to stay. There is very less liquidity available at the moment at lentils in the market today as well. New crop offers also, farmers are being very resistant about selling, but there are some trades that are happening, and people are predominantly selling because they are seeing the Canadian prices coming down without being able to cover on the back end. At this point of time, that's where the situation is currently for lentils in Australia.
So going forward, do you think in case there is a pressure on prices from still going further down in India as well as in Canada reducing their offers, do you see that Australian farmers would be yielding a little bit, or do you think just like in cricket they are very strong-headed?
They're very strong-headed. They're very cash rich. They're very strong-headed. The lentils are something that they can store for a very long time. They know that India will come in to buy, irrespectively today, tomorrow, whenever, sometime or the other. We have other partners also who buy a lot of lentils from Australia, which is Bangladesh there, Sri Lanka there. So there is a lot of offloads available. And I think Canadian farmers, Australian farmers are also very, very well cash rich up. And so they are more than happy to sit on their lentils. They're not really worried about the prices coming down significantly. But they will follow eventually if Canada keeps going down.
No, we'll also talk to Binod bhai on that. But do you think Bangladesh, anybody would bet in current scenario, right? With the challenges which are there.
Well, there are people still loading. There is vessels being planned as well, and there are containers being shipped as well. The current challenges are there, but yet limited volumes are still moving. LCs are opening, people are moving, and the risk is still there. There are people who are comfortable trading with those countries, specifically people from that country. So there are traders from Bangladesh in Australia who would sell to Bangladesh without any problems. There are people who have offices there, and there are people who are trading to bigger organizations which are physically would not default, so they will still execute those contracts. So there are products moving currently into Bangladesh. Again, same problem, no logistics available to Bangladesh as well from Australia.
Now, tell me one more thing. Actually, there is a lot of discussion about the bulk vessels, right? Do you think that that is also one of the big problem going forward? Availability of bulk vessels from Australia?
For lentils point of view, there shouldn't be any problem. Currently, we are almost towards the tailored end of the leftover products. We probably have about 350,000 tons left.
top max 400,000 tons left for the crop. So I don't think there'll be any bulk vessel planned for lentils for the rest of the year. The ones that will come will probably be for New Year's. Or they will probably have it half-half. Chickpeas, you will see bulk vessels. Predominantly bulk vessels is going to be the main key element to provide chickpeas to India. Containers, we are going to have a real tough time to try and get that many containers available for October till December. We're going to have a carnage, for sure.
So based on your input, actually, I can do arbitrage on bulk vessel.
Bulk vessel arrival will be there for sure. Bulk vessel arrival is for sure, but containers is going to be very, very unpredictable right now.
No, we can create a product actually where you can do forwards of, because we Indians feel of forward trades, so we can also do forward trades on.
There are trades, there are trades being offered nowadays, which is saying bulk or container depending on seller.
Great. Thanks, Jayjeev bhai, pulling you out of holiday, and you being here. That shows your love for me. Thanks a lot. I would go to Deepak bhai. We woke up in the morning, and I understand, he would have had his coffee, though even coffee is actually going through a huge upside. So any commodity talk, which is a global commodity, we are seeing fire. But when I was reading a World Bank report, they said actually commodities are easing out. I don't know which commodities they are talking about. Maybe just cereals. Deepak bhai, over to you. How do you see lentils in Canada? There are some reports, some saying that this time the crop would be great, and then actually we read some report that there are some challenges in some of the market beta and all that. So your views on that, sir? How do you see the crop coming up, and why your offers are lower than Australia? Sir, you have to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah. So Deepak ji, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me, and hello everyone. Deepak ji, as you know, we all know, Canada is the leader in red lentils now, because the way the way the trades are happening, the way the prices are coming down from Canada, I think they are leading the way. Like Australia is way behind. No other country is, even Russia, is way behind. So coming to, first of all, we need to understand, what is happening in Canada, why why suddenly the prices have come down. So I will start with this. Of course, there is a great crop this year. So let's start with the production first. Like last year, we had a production of 1.2 million tons of red lentils. And this year, we are talking about close to 1.8 million tons. Now, if you see, it's almost like 50% more production. Now, is it because of production? The production is good because in last 5 years, like what I've seen in Canada is this has been the perfect weather in last 5 years in Canada. Of course, there was some dryness, but the yields, when you see the yields, like we used to compare yields of 1,000 pounds per acre. And this year we're talking about close to 1,500. So almost like 40-50% more yields. Now, this is not the only reason. So one is this, the crop is increasing. There is no doubt about it. Secondly, look at this, that we have hardly started harvesting red lentils. We talk about, when you talk about the numbers, we would say roughly close to 7 to 8%. But why suddenly you have seen the prices in last 1 month has come down, say somewhere from 750, 740 to we are talking about 600 plus, something like $140 a ton. So this is not just because of the farmers. This is not because of the crop. This is more about the panic in the market. So what has happened, everybody. So it's not like when I talk about the farm prices, 30 cents, we talk about here ex-farm price. When you convert that into that, so today we are selling, there are offers in the market which is below the replacement cost. Are farmers selling? No, not exactly. This is more about the panic in the market. Yes, the prices, the expectation are the prices can come down, but where prices can go down from here. I was listening to what Harsha was saying, around these levels. So currently we are talking about prices of 610, 615 CNF, maybe 605 also in bulk vessel. So you look at this value, we talk about 54 rupees equivalent landed price in India. So 54, this is a level where it can replace other products also, maybe a little bit of tuar, maybe a little bit of urad, maybe a little bit of something else. So these prices, So these are very comfortable levels, but will they last? I doubt. Because here in Canada right now, what is happening is people are just talking about, oh, there is a huge production, but are the farmers selling? Not to that extent. Yes. So the farmers have sold. And Deepak ji, one more thing here, what happens in Canada, you have seen like the new crop trades, they start, like Australia, we start trading new crop lentils in the month of January and February for the month of September, October. So you see in 6 or 8 months before the new crop, we start trading it. So the cargo which was sold, like let's say 25% of this cargo was sold before, like in last few months. So we are talking about at least 400 to 500,000 tons. So till that cargo, which was sold by the farmers to the growers, from the growers to the traders, like if it has been sold at these, like are they sold at these levels? No. So there is a liquidity crunch. There is some farmers are ready to sell, but not at these levels. There is another problem. The traders, they see whoever has bought these cargoes like 34 cents, 35 cents. I'm talking about track values of 650. We are talking about track values of 550 today, $100. So people are losing money today. But there is a trade because people feel, oh, the prices are going down and there's a huge crop coming. And if they don't sell today, tomorrow they might have to sell $50 below the market. So since there is a harvest which has started, I believe for a month or two, maybe 1.5 month maximum till the harvest is over, we might see this harvest pressure for some time. After that, the prices would stabilize. And I also believe that the prices in India will start going up because, they will not sustain around 600 levels. They will start going up because as Harsha said, these prices are more sustainable in India. And look at the other side. Like when we talk about this, look at where is Australia. Look at Russia. Russia used to be everywhere supplier of the cheapest lentils in the world. Where Russia is sitting? Russia is close to 650, 640, at least $40, $50 over Canada. Look at Australia. Australia is struggling with the issues. There is another factor which we have to see is we always talk about the trade that the prices are dropping, but there is another factor which we don't talk about is the transfer of stocks. So some companies like who have offices in Canada and who also have offices in India, they buy big boats, they load big boats, they even load containers. It's not an actual trade, but it's a transfer of stock. So, a lot of that cargo also happens. So in short, what I would like to say is I believe we are very close to bottom in Canada. Of course, there is a big crop, but some of the farmers who are selling, they need some cash, they need some finance, but most of the farmers, they're not so, poor. They have enough holding capacity to, hold on to the cargoes. And we believe after a month or so, you will see some correction in the prices. I'm not saying it can go to very high levels, but I think this is very close to bottom and we might see the prices coming up after a month or so. These are my views about the Canada. Thank you.
Sure. So Harsha, you are having some questions, so please go ahead.
Thank you, Deepak ji, for such a wonderful update about Canadian market that we all were looking forward to. So, like you said, there is a panic selling. Do you believe that under this panic selling, a lot of people are going short at these levels, thinking that they'll be able to cover from the growers? And also, what I've seen is that the average 10 years average price that the grower has sold red lentils has not gone below 24-25 cents. So, do you believe that with this harvest pressure, do we see that kind of number coming in, or do you see the short? People who have done short will be covering up at the harvest? Like, where do you see the market that ways? This will really help us understand that what kind of bottom do we see from here. For me, it's like a bottom price, maybe a few dollars here and there, but your view will really help us to understand.
Okay. So thank you, Harsha ji, for the question. See, here you talked about the 10-year average. I think right now in the current scenario, we have to see the 5-year average. 10-year average is a very far number. So 24-25 cents, I believe, is a too low a level. We should consider about 30 cents. That should be the level. So 30 cents is equivalent to like 550 track values. And if you take more or less, we are very close to 600 CNF values, 600, 605. So there will be very little downside available from here. Now, when I talked about the panic selling, so what happened, we all know the prices of lentils are falling for last 1 month or maybe 2 months. These were not the prices. Even in January, February, these were not the prices. So the prices, what we have seen, like in last 5 years, I've not seen these type of prices. Now, what is happening is like in Canada, of course, we all talk about like, the rich farmers, but still the farmers are rich, but still like, we have an interest rate of 9 to 10% today. So some of the farmers who take the finance, so they will still be the sellers, but they will be maximum 20 to 25%. So let's say 20 to 25% is just like, 400 to 500,000 tons of cargo. But we are not talking about only 400, 500,000 tons of cargo. When I say panic selling, why I'm saying panic selling? Because the cargoes who are, which was sold before, so they were not sold at these levels. They were sold at maybe 700, maybe 720, maybe 725. So all those guys who are trading today, they're losing the money. Now the question is, you say short selling, right? So how many guys can afford to sell at 600 levels, to make up the price? Because I believe 600 is very close to bottom. The farmers, yes, there is another reason why the farmers are selling. Some of the farmers are selling because this year the wheat production, like, especially Canada produces durum this time. So durum prices, which was like $14, $14 last year, has come down to almost $7. So a lot of those farmers, they are holding on to the durum because they're losing 50% of the value. Secondly, lentils gave them a better, like, margin per acre. So in lentils, we talk about 400 to 500 Canadian dollars an acre. So here they have a better margin. So they will sold on to some of their cargoes, which is 20, but they have already sold this cargo. So farmers are now going to deliver these cargoes. They are not selling anymore. So they, it's more of a panic selling because it's under harvesting. From harvesting, it goes to the plant, then it goes under processing, then it goes, because in Canada we have large distances, then it goes to by rail cars to the port. So you might see physical shipment maybe by late August or early September. The earliest I'm talking about the red lentils of the new crop. So it's about the old cargo, which was still available in the system. Maybe I would say 150 to 200,000 tons at max red lentils. So that cargo, but people are under panic because, as we said, like, what they see in tour market has come down by 200 plus odd dollars. We talk about yellow peas. Nobody's buying yellow peas. There is a parity today. Like even at 380, people can make money, but they're not buying because funds are stuck there. There is no demand there and too much of cargo already lying there. So here there is a panic selling, which I would believe in about a month or so. I believe about 70 to 80% of the lentils will be harvested by end of August. And you will see early September, the prices will stabilize. I'm not saying prices will go back 50, 70 or $80. No, the prices will more or less stabilize. There will not be too much of, panic selling. And I personally believe there will be a very little downside from here. I don't see the market will touch around 550 levels, maybe 570, 580 maximum. So another $15, $20 downside from here is possible. But below that, I believe, I really doubt those numbers. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Deepak bhai, actually, like, you touched upon a very important point. Like, though it was part of previous panel discussion, yellow peas. Do you think farmers there, at least on yellow peas, I think a farmer would be able to hold? Because I see, like, demand not there anywhere in the world, right, of yellow peas. China is like, subdued demand. Other countries also, like, very minimal, whether we talk about Bangladesh and Nepal and all that. India sitting with, like, huge pile, right? Already so much of dumping has happened. I don't think, like, there is any possibility of buying anything more. Maybe somebody who want to risk, like, play with fire, another 100,000 or 200,000 tons maximum, with the demand totally diminishing. Do you see the prices crashing of yellow peas further in Canada?
Deepak ji. So what is happening is in Canada, like, of course, the production is increasing. I would say I would put a number of over 23 to 24% of more increase in yellow peas production this year. So when we talk about yellow peas, so what is happening is this year the new crop numbers started with 350 track levels. They're already like 330. So this year lowest we have already breached. Now you are 100% right. China is not buying. If India does not buy, who are the other big buyers? I mean, apart from India and China, there is no sizable buyer out of Canada because Bangladesh is also, they rely more on the Black Sea region. Again, Bangladesh is struggling with forex, we know there's the political uncertainty. So here, like, There is another thing, Deepak ji, what we need to understand. It's not only about the farmer selling. So say, for example, I'm a trader or I'm a, processing plant sitting in Canada. So I have bought from the farmers, let's say 20,000 tons or 40,000 tons. So even though at a higher price, the farmers will not stop. They have to deliver and I cannot default to them. So I have to buy even if I bought this as $50 higher. And I have to take it somewhere because I cannot hold it because I have to run the plant also. So, as long as I'm getting the deliveries, I have to supply it to the market, whether it is a stock transfer or an actual trade. Sometimes you hear, oh, there is a big vessel coming, big bulk vessel coming. Most of the time you see these vessels are not sold. These are actual stock transfers. These are not the trades. So one office of, one Canadian office sells to their Indian office. It happens most of the time. So what I'm saying is, the point is, yes, in Canadian yellow peas, right now, the demand is very, very poor. China is practically following India. They are just looking at before they were buying at 400 levels. Now they're talking about 350 levels safe. And there is no offer like that. But yes, the yellow peas prices are coming. I believe there is little more downside possible. We were talking about, $10 as the lowest number, but right now we are talking about it can breach even, we can breach $9 also. So I would say somewhere close to 300 track values, or CNF, I would say 365, 370. It should easily touch.
Perfect. Now I go to the man who understands Bangladesh better than anyone else.
Thank you.
Binod bhai, whole of the world is waiting for Bangladesh to buy because actually India yellow peas are in a panic sell, right? And everywhere there is a panic, and you can see on the face of Binod bhai, he's the happiest person, no panic. So Binod bhai, actually, your views first on lentils. How do you see the trade? You have been in US, you have been in Australia, right? You have seen, I think, across the globe how the trade is happening. So your views on should we be panicking about Bangladesh, or Bangladesh is good for business?
Thank you, Deepak bhai. Bangladesh is always good for business as long as you have a selection of buyers. There are maybe 100 and 1,000 buyers over there, but you should work with 5 or 10 buyers. You should not be technical in Bangladesh while dealing with these 5-10 buyers, because that business are being done on trust basis, not on LC basis. So I have burnt all my fingers in Bangladesh. So now I know with whom to deal and with whom not to deal. So when I am selling, so my buyer is comfortable as well as my seller is also comfortable. My seller never asks me that can we get this amendment, that amendment. My simple logic is, while you deal with me for Bangladesh LC, you treat that as a tissue paper. Just note down the LC number, item and price. Just check the basic things. Load the cargo, send the documents to buyer's bank as we send under CAD. Just mention the LC number. Your payment will come once the cargo arrives in Bangladesh. If you get technical in Bangladesh, I don't deal with that kind of seller. Or I say only one thing: if you are technical in LC, then if there is any default, I am not responsible. Either listen to me or don't listen to me. This is my simple funda for Bangladesh.
How do you see, do you see challenges happening because of the political turmoil, or it is it's fine, it's business as usual?
Business will run as usual. You see, there are differences between political parties and what we call this caretaker government. When there is a political parties involved, then there are the vested interest of importers. They prefer some importers, they don't prefer some importers. Like in case of Russian trade, some importers were able to open the LC because they were having upper hand in the parliament or say with the government. And some were not able to import Russian cargo because they were having some negative approach in ministries. So there was simple reason that Russian is not allowed, so LC won't be opened. But others were getting the LC opened for Russian cargo. Irrespective, LC is going to Singapore or Dubai, wherever it is. So some were getting it, some were not getting it. Now come to the caretaker government. Caretaker government will act on the fundamentals of the subject and whether it is required or not. They are not preferential. You go with the contract, and if it is okay, they will open the LC. Now, the thing is now sellers are not comfortable in the bulk vessel. They won't be able to, they will not take much stake because the government is there for 3 months. Caretaker government is there for 3 months. It might be extended to 6 months, but for 3 months, like if we start doing trade for Bangladesh, so 3 months is not sufficient. Like even if you start doing, if you do a one contract today, shipment period will be say September, October, or say August, September. Cargo will arrive at end of November or say December. So we never know that time what kind of political situation will be there. So one should be careful while dealing in bulk volume over there, or they should take up 100% confirm LC so that the third party, like third country, pays for the bill, not for the Bangladesh, not for the Bangladesh bank. They should rely on the third country bank.
And see, when it comes to pulses, specifically lentils and yellow peas, Bangladesh is also a sizable market. I won't say that anyway compared to India, but it's a sizable market. And in global trade, sizable market definitely also impact the prices. How do you see demand being there? Do you see they're having sufficient cargo available, or you see more demand coming from Bangladesh?
There is a huge demand in Bangladesh, and the benefit will go to Indian importers. Like you will see a lot of yellow peas are being exported to Bangladesh from road borders. Like last 3-4 days, a lot of trucks are moving to Bangladesh, and it will keep on moving. And the prices are also increasing in Bangladesh, and very soon we will see that a lot of barges will go from Kolkata to Bangladesh, and that is the only reason market is not falling here too much. Calcutta is always getting support from Bangladesh. So be it a lentil or be it a yellow peas, it's going to Bangladesh and it will keep on going.
So what are the quantities we are looking at yellow peas from India moving to Bangladesh? Because yellow peas are stuck in Indian ports, right? It's not moving. So how much do you see could move to Bangladesh?
It will move only from Kolkata because of the logistic expenses are very less from here. The buyer can come here and see the cargo. You see the Russian cargo and the Ukrainian cargo, there are very variables quality is coming up. So a lot of 20 FCL has got three type of varieties. Some cargo is good, some cargo is bad. So sellers are not taking chances. They are inviting the Bangladesh parties here. They are checking the cargo. They are selecting the lot and they are taking it. But to the best of my info, and I think approximately 100,000 to 150,000 ton will go to Bangladesh from Kolkata in say 3 months or 4 months time.
Yeah, but the Calcutta cargo is all Russian, right?
Most of the cargo is Russian. Yeah.
So whatever, I think Russian has out of this 1.8 lakh ton, I think close to 8 lakh tons has come from Russia, out of which something around 350,000 metric tons should be in Calcutta. So you see half of that moving to Bangladesh, right?
Not in one go, in very bits and pieces through all the.
Yeah, another couple of months, I say, right? So that's a good news for prices for Indian importers who have been stuck with गले की हड्डी बन गया है ना निकल पा रहे हैं ना उसको निकाल पा रहे हैं. So at least there is one outlet. And how about lentils? Do you see again 30 to 40,000 tons at least going from maybe Australia to Bangladesh?
Bangladesh again, I would say, maximum cargo will go from Kolkata as far as long as they have what you call this caretaker government.
Okay, so it's better to bring cargo to Australian cargo of lentils to India and then actually export from Kolkata to Bangladesh. That is what you are suggesting?
You see a very simple thing. Market has gone down by $70. Okay, but Kolkata prices is gone down by only $15. It was around 6150 pesos, 62 rupees. Today it is being sold at 60 rupees or 60 rupees 50 paisa. So this is almost $15 down. So where is the mandi? Market is not manda. Manda is only in Dimag. Only 610, 615, 620 का trade हो गया तो market गिर गया. भाई local market has not fallen. Market is same. It is the seller who is short. They are selling $25, $30 short, and they are in the market now. They are doing their shopping now. They are covering. So market will improve from here. And you see, there are two factors. We always call that the season ki mandi is very good for the market. So this is just season ki mandi. $25-30 is down. They are selling short by $25-30. So actually market is $650. And nobody is seeing the currency. Currency also devaluated. So harvest pressure, and the currency devaluation, that is where the market is down. But Australia is as it is, they are not under panic. So I'm not seeing any mandi in the market.
Perfect. So Deepak bhai, you wanted to add something, right? Please. No mandi, no panic. Koi panic mat karo. Binod bhai has actually assured everyone, no panic.
So Deepak ji,
I
have
agree
a
with him.
question. Yeah,
I
Deepak ji,
agree
I have
with
a
him.
question. And this question is more about Indian market and Indian conditions. So I would like to, direct this question to Harsha ji. Harsha ji, this looking at a CNF value of 600 roundabout for red lentils in India, we talk about a landed cost of 54-55 rupees. So currently we have an MSP of 64 rupees in India, and which is supposed to go up in October because government is going to increase MSP, for the next Rabi season. So with this gap increasing, don't you think that the Indian farmers will be shifting some of their acreages from red lentils to something else because they have better alternates available this year in terms of chana or wheat or other things? So does not it imply that there may be, because of the shift in acreages or the lesser plantings of red lentils, then India will be back in market again in November and December once they see that the planting is less and the crop is going to be less?
This is the question that everyone has in the mind, apart from what the government is going to do with their stocks, what the growers are going to do this year. So definitely this comes into the mind that, the chana acre should go higher, looking at the prices. If you see that the growers have not made a lot of money in chana. When the growers' arrival pressure was seen in March, April, May, the prices were trading below 6,000 rupees. So here it's not the growers who have made money. They have already sold out their stock. So looking at these prices, chana is going to be very attractive for growers to seed. But at the same time, I feel that lentils acres definitely should not go higher. Even the MSP will go higher. But looking at the growing areas from where lentils and chana has been seeded, if we talk about Madhya Pradesh, there will be more acres in chana. So the land which should be, or the acres which would be compromised, maybe wheat or oilseed, or we can say lentils also. But it is too early to say. We really need to see what happens in next 3 months, where the chana prices rule out, what kind of government intervention we see. But definitely the acres are not going to go higher for lentils, neither in MP, nor in Uttar Pradesh. So how much it could be down is a big question that I would say that one has to watch for next 3 months, whether the oilseed acres are being compromised or lentils. But the simple or the usual look of the market is that the lentils acres might go lower. But we really need to watch on the prices in coming time for next 3 months. Because as I said, that chana acres would be higher, but also the fact that growers have not made as good as money what the prices are right now, but growers were able to sell their lentils to the government at MSP. So my next question is, looking at the chana prices, will government be able to buy chana next year at MSP? Do we see, even if the MSP increases, do we see chana prices coming down to 60 at the time of harvest? It's a really big question. So even if the growers go for lentils, the government will always be able to buy at MSP from the growers. So it's, those kind of questions which will decide in coming market that which acres would be compromised for Rabi season.
So let me add one small thing here. Deepak bhai, this whole narrative of that actually based on this year's price, farmer decide what to grow next year. Actually, it has been flawed and actually proven time and again it is flawed. I'll give you just example. Last year, tuar price, right, has touched 130. Acreage didn't increase. MSP of 70 rupees and 130 was the highest tuar. It didn't increase. Now, similarly, actually, when we talk about soybean price is so low, still acreage is not going to go down this year. So this whole assumption that actually just farmer will see 75 rupiah, 100 rupiah, right, or 200 rupiah of commodity and he'll jump. No, farmer is a far smarter animal, right? He go through, understand. In fact, even toward this year, people are saying because of the price of last year, this year after 2 years there were high price. So this year they are planting, right? This year actually when they were planting, the prices started going down from 125 onwards. It has reached to 114. So prices are going down. Acreage has increased because of early rainfall in peninsular India, which is Karnataka, right? So farmer understand that I'll save more time in case I grow tuar. Why? Because it's a long crop and I'm starting early. farmer does a lot of calculations. So like, I think 15% or 20% of his decision is based on the previous year's price, 80% on a lot of other factors. And in case, if you see, like, farmers see that moong, let's take example of moong, MSP has been increased, right? Prices were low, below MSP. Government has not bought. Still, acreage is high by 11% this year. What is the logic behind that? Right. So again, I believe, like, understanding farmer is far more, as a different ball game. And I believe, like, traders need to spend a lot of time with farmers. You spend time with millers, you spend time with other traders, spend time with farmers, like, understanding their psyche is also very important. And believe me, they are very intelligent. And that's why they're still doing farming. Otherwise, with the policies and how the trade treats them, right? I was surprised when prices of, like, yellow peas were touching high and farmer was to make money. The trade was saying that, like, to help consumer, open up yellow peas. Now, when the prices have crashed, the same trading community is saying to save the farmer, put the import duty, right? So believe me, like, this type of smartness trade can do. Farmers, they have their own calculation, their own way of deciding, and still they are surviving. That itself tells you they are intelligent, because the government is against them. While on the paper, they are always in favor of farmer, but you can see the policy. Consumer is a bigger vote bank than just a farmer, right? So जैसे ही अभी भी आप देखिए ना, चने का भाव ऊपर जा रहा है, तो nobody is thinking farmer will make more money. Everybody is trying to find the ways. काबुली को खोल देते हैं, येलो पीस को खोल देते हैं, right? What else we can do? Stock limit लगा देते हैं. Let's do everything to bring the price down. And it's a global phenomenon. It's not just I'm blaming government of India. It's a global phenomenon, because you want inflation to be low. People can spend on more other things, and that increase your GDP. Right. But end of the day, last year, India had only 1.4% growth in agriculture GDP. Right. Farmers have suffered, and this year you are having far more swing, right, than actually was last year. So after getting the hit on the face, on the chin, he stands up, smiles, and say, मैं गरीब किसान था, हूं नहीं, ना रहूंगा. With that mindset, I would like to end this session. I love the farmers of all the countries, and believe me, traders one day will realize that farmers are not those type of, like, hen that you cut their head and get all the gold out. हर साल एक सोने का अंडा लेते रहिए. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, we end this beautiful session. Tomorrow, as you all know, that actually we are having another session, which would be on grains. And we'll be talking about two very important commodities, wheat and rice. Again, we have seen a lot of movement up and down, challenges, government policies, restricting export of white rice and putting some duties on parboiled. Then again, MEPs on basmati, pretty volatile in rice. Wheat, will the government open import or not? That was debated very hotly for such a long time. And the prices has been pretty high on both of that. And as we have just discussed that high price, no government likes. So let's understand from some of the industry veterans tomorrow that how the rice and wheat will shape up from India. And I invite all of you to GrainsWorld in Dubai. November, let's take Indian agriculture and food trade to the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you for having us here.
My pleasure.